What, the stream? The video?
I don't know.
She tried to send YouTube and sent the URL to her Gmail.
Please show to Jim.
It's like mail, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What are you liking?
I'm sorry,
A
guys.
video.
Oh, our live stream?
Spooder Man.
Spooder
Check it
Man.
out. I'm watching right now.
I think I overhyped it.
Oh, for a meme?
Yeah, I overhyped it.
What a great opening.
724,000 views. How do you find this?
That's all I wanted.
Thanks.
Okay.
Find me, might have been movie left so
Yeah. Oh my, that's bad. That's
It
bad.
needed like a crunching sound effect.
Yeah.
Not even a blink. He
Or
just
a
like.
smack.
That's how I like how anxious the hot dog bite is too. He's like, oh, I'm about to say some shit.
But then he's like, but then he slows down. He's like,
Yeah.
And they're like, well, they're already gone.
Hey.
Alright.
What?
Your own Coca.
No, you drank my
I
shit.
put it over my
wow.
Intro.
This is one of those scenes that I like.
Because now I have a place to put dice.
I mean, I'll take it. I didn't know what you were doing.
I was just moving it so I can put dice. Yeah, it's just in case people
Okay.
This one's my favorite. I don't play with it, so I use this one.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Like this one's dark.
let's begin. Alright.
Clap on, clap on.
As we return to the land of the Shea, we find ourselves inside the tomb of the Tristanian Order. Several brave adventurers have successfully saved the prisoners of the residing goblins. After brutal combat and many close calls, the group managed to put a stop to the devious and unknown ritual echoing throughout the inner chamber. As they pick themselves up, they gather the fallen goblin bodies into a farther chamber and set out to rest for the night on cool stone floors. There they recover their strength in their sleep. Their task is now complete, and they await a peaceful morning the following day. As the next step is to return to town, they feel free of burden of whatever dark magics the goblin kin were unleashing. However, not all of their sleep is perfectly sound as the night passes into a dim sunrise. The beams of light gleam on the tired travelers, awakening to the sounds of footsteps echoing throughout the corridors behind them. So, you guys slowly but surely begin to awaken. There is blood everywhere. There's just a mess of like dead leeches that have long died in the night from the cauldron that got spilt all over the place. And residing over the lot of you is a very large statue that is just on the far wall. That said, down the corridor you can hear very soft footsteps, and they seem to be getting louder and coming closer to your chamber.
Question there, Chief.
Yes.
Am I wearing my armor?
Not yet, but if you want to, you can start donning it.
I would prefer not to take the next 10 minutes to do that.
Okay. Do you just pick up your shield?
Say that again?
Do you just pick up your shield?
No, I'm going to pick up my crossbow and cover the door.
Okay.
Preferably if that cauldron's still there, I'd like to use that as cover.
Yeah, Golden's still just chilling.
I'm going to dodge roll my way up to that.
Okay. The rest of you guys, what are you guys doing?
yeah, not us.
Not here.
I'm gonna follow in suit and kind of just follow, what's Connor's name?
Desmond.
Desmond. I'm going to follow Connor. Desmond!
Oh, yeah.
What's Connor's name? Desmond. So I'm gonna follow Connor.
Alright, the gnome goes to kind of hide behind the cauldron next to you.
What's the positions in the room again?
So, as far as stuff goes, the lot of you are kind of on the sides of the room, and then at the top of the, like, the north side of the room is the statue, a little bit of a raised
So we're still in that
pit.
chamber with the weird ass.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
Okay. Jan begins donning his armor and whatnot
The yawn begins to dawn.
because you're
At
wearing
dawn.
heavy armor. That'll take 10 minutes.
Alright.
Okay.
I'm just gonna kind of just stay where I am and kind of survey the area.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take out my rapier.
Okay. And Ganlin?
I'm gonna put on my armor.
Okay. Cool. Step, 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 step. Click. Nick.
Yeah.
You hear a click.
I'm going to dive very clumsily forward to the ground.
Okay.
That's the plan.
So just like
Like, oh shit.
fall on your
Yeah.
stomach basically.
Yeah.
Okay. As you do so, you completely avoid the trap that springs as a giant scythe falls from the ceiling, just barely like grazing the top of your hair as you
Well
duck to the
controlled.
floor.
Oh yeah.
Good job.
Nicely done. The lot of you see what appears to be a very like priestly kind of dressed tiefling, just collapsed onto the floor right at the end of the hallway before your guys' larger chamber.
I wanna poke him.
Okay.
What does that mean? I should say something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, describe your character.
Alright. Tiefling, lay on the ground.
Lay on the ground.
It's over.
I'm in a state of panic. Holy shit. Maybe I shouldn't say shit. I'm gonna revoke the shit. Oh my
Is that in
goodness.
game?
I'd like to think so.
My
Yeah, I
character
like
would
to
say
think
shit
so.
right off the bat. Oh my goodness.
I like to think he's having like a little mini existential crisis.
Yeah, I'm already having it.
As he's
Well, I said that, I
laying
forgot
there
about
just
that.
like, oh shit,
Your
oh
character
no.
basically
Oh, God.
is an existential
Pretty
crisis.
much.
Constant state of
Please
pain.
don't kill me. I've almost killed myself. I don't need any more help. I'm okay.
Who are you?
I'm a cleric from somewhere nearby. I was exiled. That's besides the point. You can call me Gold Toes. That's what I go by. I don't really have a name. We'll not give
Gold
it a name.
Can I call you Toes for short?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
What about gold?
What about
What's the
gold?
point? I'm just gonna call him Toes, you're gonna call him Gold? Like, what's
I
wrong
want to
with you?
point out Nugget just kind of like perks up at the name Gold.
Because remember, his first name is Gold.
Remember this! Your first name is Dropscreen.
Yeah. Talk about damaging computers early tonight.
Right, like I thought it was already
Why don't you
broken.
just like set it down somewhere not in front of you?
See, I had it right here and then she...
I'm trying to get it to turn on.
It's not gonna turn on.
That didn't help.
I mean, if it's dead, you may as well just like.
No,
I don't think so.
Do you have a backpack?
Dead.
Yeah.
It overheats and just turns off. So it
You
could have
just need
gotten
to
hot.
know. I'm kidding, I'm not gonna make that joke.
R.I.P. hard.
You know what you need is an ice pack, because that's what my computer has to deal with some of the time.
I mean, I have 2 fans, and one of the fans is broken on it.
That's the point.
I have one fan that's broken, and so I'm just like sitting there with ice packs underneath it because I'm like, it's coming on Amazon, it's shipping, it's on its way. I swear to God. Yay! Anyway. You are on the floor before a kenku, so kind of a wingless bird man, a couple of half elves, a gnome, a like half dressed knight of sorts. You can't really tell; he's still putting stuff on, and some like distant voice that might be behind a cauldron or not.
Okay. Alright, strange company you keep here.
Yeah, like you're one to talk.
Well, you know, I'm a man of God, so you can't say anything bad
Like shit.
or you're gonna help. I'll send you there. Anyway, I'm here
It's nice.
to keep an eye on people such as yourself. Happen to take probably the unsafe turn to find people such as you, but
Yeah, what are you doing in the tunnels? It's a little weird.
Yeah, how do we know you're not trying to kill us?
Yeah, right?
I'm a man of God.
That doesn't mean anything.
Well, what are you gonna do? I mean, I'm just gonna say a prayer.
Yeah, well, I'm the Lord of the Nine Hells. See where we are?
Can I I just kind of like go up to him and just poke him with my rapier really lightly? Just like,
Please, do not poke me.
what you gonna do?
It's very unpleasant.
What you gonna do?
I will command God. No, I won't. No,
I will make the
it's,
Red Seas part.
simply here looking for travelers, believe it or not. I've been kicked out. I can't live in my hometown for reasons.
Well, you gotta find travelers. It's a little weird.
What
Sounds
happens when you
suspicious.
live with your parents when you're like 30?
Nobody likes me. I look like Satan. Nobody likes me. I found a cavern, and I said, these people probably need some help.
No, we're good.
Well, it works for me.
What do you have to offer, dear Claire?
Who are you to say that you're lawful
Check.
good?
I can feed you. I can clean your wounds. I can clean your food. I got incense, my friend. I'll say a prayer.
You can clean our food. Are you a cook?
No, I'm a prayer man. I'll pray the poison right out.
Family does not need
This could
food.
prove
He's
useful.
a holy man, not a cooking
All
man.
you have to do is just
What did
run
you
it
say?
underwater.
I believe he's a holy man, not a cook.
But there's a cauldron with a voice clearly coming from behind it.
A holy
I
man
can
who
fix
can cook.
that problem for you.
Oh no, he's fine. He's
Go
fine.
ahead and roll perception.
What do I have to do for
So what you do?
I have like 4
Yep.
over here, so one of the bigger ones, yeah.
that?
Perception stat?
Wrong paper. Did I use that paper?
But you clean your food.
I was just like,
Is it that paper?
No,
we
it's
have
not
fire
that
for that. It kills off
paper. Did I
bacteria.
use that paper?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Oh.
This is medieval, of course it does.
Are you going? I can go.
Myself.
Did we drop stuff?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
we need a?
Oh,
Do I have another box of sorts?
I didn't realize.
Wait,
that.
hold on. There's this tip.
are we actually live streaming this or are we just
No, it's live stream.
Oh, well.
It's on YouTube.
People are
Oh,
in
and
Don't worry, nobody's
Yeah,
watching.
exactly. It's just like, oh, okay, we're
There's
fine.
tables.
Yeah.
I really hope
Are you
it's
walking
his name.
I know there's tables to keep things from falling.
Wait.
How would you know? Because it's YouTube.
Yeah, right?
Nobody watches live streams on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
No,
Natural
do not get that.
My mom
Delete
Oh
this.
my.
I need to send that to the
Yeah, I
group.
did. I got an 18.
18 now. Add 3 to that.
That's
Is
20.
the link for
Good job.
this
You
in
got a
here?
21. I think so.
21?
Is it?
Alright, looking towards the cauldron,
It's on his account.
yeah, you very clearly see that there, besides the gnome who's just kind of like peeking out, you can kind of see the tail end of some larger figure that is crutched behind it, seemingly ready to act at a moment's notice.
Is anybody in the company? Is anybody in the company wounded?
Good.
As far as wounds and stuff go, it seems that they've just woken up from their long rest, so in that time they've been able to kind of bandage themselves up and
No,
Like-
usefulness.
not immediately, but
Man behind the cauldron. What do you think of having an extra hand? Somebody to carry something. Someone to clean your food. Anything for the love of everything. I just need someone to stay with right now. I've been on my own, which is
Starting to sound really needy.
We will.
You're gonna help Vinny.
I suppose we will permit you to clean our food, as you say, traveler.
Have some steak.
You said you will?
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, I'll clean your food, man. Let me stay around.
Just for the record, we don't want to eat you
You're sounding
or
really
any of
desperate,
us.
dude.
We're not,
Just
we're not
Let's
down
get
with
into the
that.
story.
I may or may not be.
as you kind of you stand up, you clean yourself off, and you walk into the chamber. Go ahead and roll religion for me.
Okay. Well, is that another D20?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It'll most likely be a D20 unless stated otherwise.
Roll 3 times, it's going to be a Bible verse.
Nat 20?
You don't have to mod it. You just tell him that.
Oh shit. Yeah. If it's a nat 20 or a nat 1, you let me know that that's the thing.
Critical success.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's it.
It's like a Gandalf or Iosar.
It's like 2
Um,
Yeah, I know.
Whoa! Oh my
Good
gosh.
catch.
Flying food. So, refer to the notebook as you step in. You see this large statue that you recognize with the message that I sent you prior as far as your background and stuff.
Should I just read it verbatim?
If you want to. This is what you recognize as the named figure as part of the order.
Yes. If I would have remembered that, I probably would have seen it useful earlier.
So, as this tiefling cleric kind of dusts himself off and walks in, you can kind of see him pause for a moment and think, and you can see him like connecting the dots in his head as he's looking at the layout of the room and where he is in terms of being in the tomb of the Trustinian Order.
Alright. Whoa! Look at that! You see that statue you guys have been sleeping under? You know what that is, guys?
No.
I don't think
We're not. I'm sorry, we're not into that kind of shit.
Alright. What happened? My
The
master
statue of
talks
Sextus
about it
Varius
all the
behind
time.
you. Over the,
I'm aware. I was trying to do it thanks to him.
Just no Nugget is listening very intently.
The
I was
cauldron
gonna
says
turn
what's
around and be like,
I'm just looking down.
The big one, right in the head of the statue behind you.
Oh.
In the room, center chamber. Yeah. It is named Sextus Varius.
Oh.
Varius Sextus. Know that.
Oh god, it's weird seeing myself.
Noted.
I still have my arms like this, but I
Nailed
don't
it,
anymore.
Connor. Right.
These funny little markings. Those are words. And if you read them, the crypt should open. Should open wide open.
I'll be
Can you read these words?
I don't know. Are you gonna kick me out when I read them?
No, I said you were
Wow.
allowed to clean our food. I perhaps would permit you to read some words as well.
You're the only one so far. Excuse my skepticism. I've also been being poked by a sword.
With weapons? Yeah, you please cease. Cease at once.
No, I don't want to. I just put my rapier away.
Seems things have worked out so well.
Can I just walk up and poke him with my axe?
Wait.
Do I
Why
know how
is
to
this
read
big
it?
on me?
Is that in this message?
It's weird. I don't like
Do
it.
I know how to read it?
I know, but it's
you're
weird.
saying I don't even know. I know Infernal,
No way, you
Gnomish,
can see what Jordan's
Dwarvish,
doing.
and Common.
Oh shit.
it appears to be written in
Like,
Dwarvish.
kind of, but
Kind of.
I can read
We're in the
Dwarvish, I
past.
think. Maybe.
in the past.
Are we
He
time
said it's in
travelers?
Dwarvish.
Wait,
Oh,
what's
okay.
shit? Oh, there we
Exactly
go.
what
Okay.
Yeah, small people speak it. Allow me to reference my
Wow.
mind.
The gnome perks up and is like, wait, what? I can't read that. I'm thinking.
That's small.
Not that.
Channel. So what does it say? Do I have to roll anything to speak my words?
No, because you're fluent in Dwarvish, you just kind of take a look at it, and you read the words. I, Sextus Varius, swear the Trustinian Order to serve law, battle chaos, and strive to keep the Trustinian way afar from those that would break their bond to one another.
Did you get all that?
I have to repeat that now? Or are you doing it for me?
Are you reading aloud?
Yes.
Okay. That's what you guys hear.
Okay, good. I was like,
I, Sextus Varius.
Sitting like this hurts my knee.
Then don't sit with him.
I can't help it, I'm in a chair.
This chair is
Does
like.
the crypt start opening then?
Everybody roll perception. You include.
Oh. I want to put my dice back.
Oh, well. I want to point out how big the O is on Noel on that. Emily, why is the O so big in Noel?
No, I didn't make the sign.
Noel.
16.
No. 16?
I didn't make that.
Alright, perception checks going around the table. 16, 8,
Right?
7.
7,
10.
10,
I'm still looking.
okay,
17?
17.
You sure?
You hear it? 17.
Oh, I didn't know if you were putting that in or not.
Yeah, that's right. Gorazon,
1.
I like that.
No,
That's like
9.
Oh.
9.
I know.
Scanlon,
17.
17. Alright,
16.
16. Thank you, Carter.
Ow.
I don't have your face up, so you'll have to remind me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So, those that rolled 15 and above, you hear a strange, like, swirling of wind almost kind of coming out from underneath one of the walls, and kind of creaking, like, old mechanical sound, as well as a clattering of, like, heavy, solid objects just kind of.
Normally you don't notice this. You're like,
Those that got above a 5, you can see some dust kind of clearing off a section of the wall off to the left side of the statue as it kind of sinks and begins to slide to the side. Within is.
You said to go kill the goblins and leave. Why is that so hard?
Because that would be way too much.
I'm getting not confused by all these sounds right now.
There's just bell ringing, door ching ching ching.
Santa bells chiming on
Santa bells.
Anyway, that said, it looks like there is a hallway that leads deeper into this larger structure, and inside of the hallway you see a kind of shaded figure. It's much darker in the hallway. Describe the character.
Okay.
Hey, let me eat.
Right, let's go with this one. So, in the hallway, you see a skeleton with most of the flesh still attached. And he's in super baggy clothing that almost looks like it's about to fall off, but for some magical reason called elastic, it's not. The dead skin is the tone of pale gray. There's skin on my face, but very sunken in and withered, almost like it's been blighted.
Ew.
Under the clothes, you can't see that.
Yeah, I don't really want to.
I figured to just go.
The hands have skin ripping off the bones and are exposed.
Why am I being subjected to this?
I don't know why.
We all know I'm squeamish.
Pretty much only the
It
dry
won't let
flesh
me
in the
eat
face
these.
is available. But you can tell it's a
Every time
skeleton.
you eat.
And I'm wearing like black pants and
Good to know you're wearing
a
pants.
green
Thank you for wearing
green
pants.
Black
shirt and a
pants.
cloak. I have a cloak and boots that are kind of like ankle,
What color?
I was gonna say they're made for walking.
dark brown.
I was gonna say
And it
that
has a
fur.
hood.
With
So, and the hood is up.
Oh.
The hood is up, so you can only see the skeleton.
The difference of
face. But
generations.
it's skin. It's dead skin.
So you're dead.
I'm not nice.
But you don't know it's me yet.
I would like to charge at her swinging my axe.
No, I would like to just go pick at the.
You are
Pursuing
being
corpse.
attacked by a
I'm not like in
large.
chains or anything. I thought you said I was gonna be like a
You-
hostage.
You kind of are.
Uh-oh.
Well, here's the thing. As the door kind of slides open, you see this figure,
Okay, I
and
can't watch this.
behind what
It.
pronoun? It.
Just go with it.
You're undead. Whatever. As it starts backing up, you see a bunch of skeletons begin trying to swing at it.
And then it goes.
Yeah, I'd like to charge in swinging my axe.
At it or at
All
the
the
skeletons?
skeletons.
Every single one.
That
Yeah,
one
just
included?
kind of like, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
We're not gonna be able
I
to
don't know
like
what's going on there.
differentiate.
What's your AC?
14.
Alright.
Well,
Roll
we're
the
gonna try
hit.
to kill you.
Roll the hit. That would be a 22.
That
Are you aiming at the one that
That's a hit.
is mostly flesh and bone or the one that is just bone?
Probably the one that's just bone right now.
Just bone? Okay. Go ahead and roll damage.
I identify with flesh, so.
Yeah, pretty much. That's gonna be 4.
4?
4 damage.
4 damage. Alright. Grayson, mark 4 damage on skeleton 1.
Okay.
Cool. Alright.
4 damage.
Do you have a
Like,
marker?
huh?
Do you need a
Grayson
marker?
is the skeleton
No,
now.
I have the marker. I need the board.
Didn't you have it?
I did, but I think it's that. There it is.
Here, have that for it.
Okay.
I don't think that I might have stolen
Was
your
that
report.
was one of those?
That
Yeah.
might have been it. I don't know. I have lots of
Dude, it
whiteboards.
zooms in
Skeleton
on you
one,
using your phone.
four
Skeleton
Small
1,
town,
4
you're
damage.
not
Yes.
paying
Yes.
What?
And
thinking of a character sheet.
Emily, you're attacking with your axe.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. What do the rest of you do?
I'm gonna use my dancing lights and just start throwing my lights at him
Okay.
as I'm kind of scared because
So you
I don't
just-
know what I'm seeing right
So you
now.
just kind of light the corridor, basically.
Yeah, I'm like.
the small gnome just lets out this very high pitch as a whole bunch of lights begin to glitter and sparkle, lighting the corridor. With that said, you can now see there are a total of 6 skeletons that are kind of,
Take 'em.
you know, cluttered up in the hallway. So that's what you'll see. All right.
Skeletons.
What next?
I want to take out my rapier and
You take out
go
your sword?
charging against.
Okay. Your rapier's out. Are you just
No, I
trying
put
to?
it back. I put it back
Did
because
you?
I was poking him, and then I put it back. So now I'm taking
Okay.
it out.
She did.
Okay. So you're taking out your rapier. Okay. Are you just moving in?
Yeah.
Okay. You won't be able to attack since you drew.
I know.
And then Connor, you're pulling your weapon out.
He's pulling out.
What else? You're
I'm-
donning your armor, but you're on the table.
What race are you?
Half elf.
I'm gonna see the half elf attack the skeleton and be like, good idea, and then turn around and slash claw at it.
Okay. So just an unarmed
While
attack
screaming.
then?
Am I armed?
You should be.
Oh, yeah, no,
You got
What's in
two,
your
right?
What's in your starting equipment?
I use the great axe.
Okay, there you go. I'm like, that's on you.
Wow, that went. I was like, oh look, I use a great axe. Oh, never mind.
I'm like, I don't think you're.
Thanks, Connor.
I'm like, did I miss
Do I
something?
roll attack?
Yeah, roll the hit.
I've already played spellcasters.
Ah, that makes more sense
What do I
now.
add?
So what it is
Strength.
you add your strength, and then are you proficient with great axes,
Strength.
which you should
If
be
it keeps moving
because
on me, I hate it.
it's all simple and all martial, right?
And David.
That you're proficient in.
Yeah,
It's most
Okay.
I'm at 19.
Yeah.
And
So
then proficiency bonus?
so add your strength, add your proficiency bonus,
It's funny.
which is it should just be a 2. If it's not filled in, fill in a 2 because you're
Because
level
we're
1.
talking about it.
8.
Yeah, how would the camera know?
21.
You,
21 to
it
hit.
zooms in on you.
That'll hit. Go ahead and deal damage.
Zooms in on
So
us.
whatever your great axe deals.
Yeah, but not me for sure.
You're so shit, so.
Is this one 12?
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's a force of habit.
If it's a good damage.
Not as tall as her.
Yeah, but I'm
still
still
short.
I'm taller than average height of a female.
17 damage?
Yeah.
How much damage is that big deal?
Yeah, I am. Okay, the average height for a woman is 5'4". I'm 5'6".
Plus 2 for what?
Let's look it
Gray.
up.
Ah.
It's 5'3".
Oops, I'm opening.
I thought it was 5'4".
Wait, did Ray gave you plus 2 on your melee?
It just adds plus 2 to the strength mod.
Female height.
Aye. To the mod or the score?
5'4".
Adds to
I
the
thought it was
score.
5'6".
Which means
I
just
think
plus
I'm
1.
normally tall.
5'6"?
Okay, then it was 20 to hit.
Yeah, abnormally tall.
And whatever number I told you, just subtract 1.
I still can't reach the top
You said
shelf.
Oh, okay, 11.
12 plus. It was 11 plus.
You know
your
what?
strength.
Fuck off.
15 damage.
Yeah.
Alright, which skeleton are you attacking? The one, the
Yeah,
half elf
she-
attack?
Yeah.
Alright.
It used to be 5'4".
You tear it. You basically, Ganlin, you sprint at it and just start swinging, and then the, like,
It feels weird.
mostly dead
I can do
fellow next to you just crushes it, and it collapses into bones and dust, and what, like, little metal, like, parts of their armor still remain.
Well, now I'm scared. Maybe I'll attack her.
No,
Anyway, one dead.
I'm gonna say.
One
I'm
down.
gonna say, thanks
It's
for the
gone.
help.
Alright.
talk properly.
Following that, who's going up?
I'm gonna run up.
God damn it, Connor.
You're running up.
Take a drink, bro.
So you're just approaching and you drew your weapon?
But I like
If I
this.
can attack, I will. If not, I'm running up.
Alright, you just run up.
Spits
Okay.
fire.
Let me write down who's next to the door. Because we have Ganlin, we have
It's fully
this strange
healed.
unnamed
It's
character.
almost fully healed.
We
It's just
have Desmond, we have Faye.
my one on my ankle is crazy.
Zion's
itchy, but
over
it hurts
here.
if I itch it. This one doesn't. I don't like to itch it.
Gold Toes is way down here.
When you raised your hand, there's no like zooming in on it.
Nuggets over here. And Yohan's over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nailed it. Okay, cool. I've got all the positioning and stuff. So, anyone doing anything else?
I'm gonna use my bonus
You felt
action to
what?
cast magic weapon on my
hurt.
greatsword. Your computer's great.
Through the floor.
Bonus
Yeah, I
action,
felt that
what are you
all the
doing?
way
Cast
over
magic weapon on my greatsword.
Oh, it was probably the garage door.
And so now you just have the
Hello.
Hello.
I get
Hi.
+1
Got a whole party going here.
+1 with the ethereal weapon.
to attack rolls and
Yep.
damage rolls.
That's
Cool,
my
cool.
dad.
Hi, Dad.
That's just the guy.
Hi, Dad.
You're my dad.
Just the guy.
David found his dad.
Boogie, boogie, boogie. Oh my god.
You are my dad.
Boogie, boogie, boogie.
Boogie, boogie, boogie.
Wow.
We're
Right.
a mess.
We only got one down.
Alright, Nugget Toes, what are you two doing?
I'm
The
gonna hide
golds.
behind the cauldron and use thaumaturgy to darken the corner, so no one can see
Okay.
You're thaumaturging to, what are
me.
you
To
doing?
darken the corner, so
You
it's
just
dark.
We really want him in our party.
No.
Yeah, that's useful.
I don't
Have
trust
a-
Oh,
him.
First time I've seen undead
He's
things.
literally just gonna
Cast
be
him
a pack
Cool,
mule.
thaumaturgy.
Yeah. We'll just have him carry everything. That's all
Alright,
I'm doing.
so moment of
Thaumaturgy, as far as light goes, thaumaturgy
That's
only
okay, I'm
affects
not really
flames
a,
in terms of lighting and darkening.
I
crisis.
live
Flame fingers when he's shooting.
Sunlight's coming in through windows,
Oh,
just kind of
okay.
gleaming
That's a
in.
big
Then I'll
ball.
just hide behind the cauldron.
Okay, so you just hide,
But
like,
you can
Okay,
just
so-
manipulate
Alright.
For
that.
reference, how big is this cauldron? Like, is it big enough for someone to hide behind?
Like
well,
a hobbit
2
cauldron?
people to
I
kind of
imagine
hide
it's
behind if one of them is small.
No.
So him and Zion are doing that just fine. But
Yeah,
as far as more people, I mean, you can
Point of
hide at an
reference.
angle.
So it's big enough to hide one person comfortably.
Basically.
One person comfortably, yeah. It's like that. That's what's happening. Kind of.
Okay.
Where am I?
You are here,
2 OT?
dead. And there's a couple more skellies just kind of walking down the
Escort
corridor.
for short.
Oh, you're 40. Am
All
I
right,
close enough to hit one of the skeletons with the arrow?
like shooting it, or are you just smacking?
No, I'm going to shoot it with an arrow.
Yeah,
Oh, you understand that.
you can easily do that. Unless I say otherwise, assume that your ranged weapons can hit, because it's basic rolling for range. It's what, like 30 to 60 for range, and then for like max range, that's when you start rolling at disadvantage.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know if you need to roll at disadvantage because it's super far. You are close enough where you can make it close enough that that's not an issue.
You're close
At the
enough.
moment, it's like 20 or 30 feet away.
Yeah.
So shoot away, birdman,
Birdman.
bird person.
That's the second Rick and Morty reference tonight.
Oh, good. What was the first?
You were like, carry this heavy
Oh yeah, I
box.
did. Come on, Morty. We need to carry the shit in.
Do I need to roll?
So just bang.
Yes. So roll your d20, and then for a ranged weapon, you add your dex modifier, and that's for your to hit.
Cleric.
17.
17. Okay, that'll hit. Now you roll the damage. So whatever the damage of your light crossbow is, what you're shooting with. I
It's
believe
just the goblin short bow.
the goblin short bow.
Yeah.
Okay. So the goblin short bow deals 1d6 for damage.
That's a 2.
It's a 2.
Yeah.
Yours isn't mine.
And then your, I think it does
You're
dex
really-
mod. Connor, can you confirm that dex mod? Okay, cool. Yeah, so 2 plus your dex mod.
Cleaning windows.
And then, are you proficient with simple weapons?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So when you roll the hit, it's the dex mod plus your proficiency bonus, which is 2. But you hit it, so.
So it'd be a 4.
It's like trying to balance a pen.
4 damage?
4 damage.
Okay. And which one are you hitting? Just the closest?
Just the closest, yeah.
Okay. Grayson. Skeleton 2, 4 damage.
Good
Skeleton
deals.
1, dead.
No,
Skeleton 3, 4, 5, and 6, unaffected.
that's funny.
Alright.
My humor and mean humor.
And now, the skeletons go.
Grace, remember you know the put in pen meme, right?
What?
The GIF with Putin in the pen, where it's like bouncing it and he like catches it?
No.
Okay, I guess.
No, but I'm ready to find out. That sounds like something I'd like.
Alright. Right?
Sounds like something I'd laugh at.
It's like, it feels
How much damage does it
the camera
do?
feels his distress and is just like.
Ganlin and Slayer?
Slaker.
Slaker.
Oh, hang on though.
I wasn't sure if it was or okay. Ganlin
Why
and
is it-
Slaker. 2 skeletons approach you with short swords in hand. Ganlin take 7 damage, and Slaker take 6 damage as the 2 manage to pierce into your skin with them. Following that, the ones behind are shooting with their short bows, and I don't think they hit. Hold on. That's where is Desmond? One of them shoots an arrow at you, and very easily you manage to just chink with your shield and laugh maniacally at his pathetic attempt. And they take 8 damage as the arrow manages to fly straight up and into your sternum.
Oh,
Just
Fuck.
that's F.
Where did these arrows come from?
the ones further back in the corridor.
How far away?
They are 5,
Far enough.
10 feet.
Do I have
So,
to pass any ones that get opportunity attacks? To
oh
get
yeah, there are 2 skeletons straight in front of you. The reason they're not using swords is because it's a narrow hallway. So there's 2 skeletons between them and the people they want to stab. So they're shooting instead. So, following that, new round. Who does what?
I attacked the closest one.
I'm gonna run away.
You finish donning your armor.
I have one
Okay,
hit
good.
left.
Alright.
Is that my turn or?
That's your turn.
I'm gonna go hide in the corner. And just rock.
Behind the cauldron, I am praying and going, "Oh God, I need to do something. I need to be useful." And then I'm going to shout,
Fusrodon.
"The one who let me clean his food, or the one who was pointing this pointy stick at me. What do I do?" To assist.
I say, you wait there. We'll take care of them.
Okay.
What spells do you have?
Provide assistance if you can.
I could cast a healing word and
Healing word is ranged. Cure wounds is a touch action.
yeah.
If those are
Healing words like a sick freestyle.
Yeah, and I forget what the other ones were. 'Cause we didn't-
the top 4 on your spell
Oh,
list.
that's right. We did make it the top 4. So they
Yeah.
command, detect evil, and good, and cure wounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are what you have prepared. So you can cast any of those.
Anybody super jacked up right now?
thank
I'm
you.
looking alright.
Huh?
Like super.
I have
the girl
one
with
hit
an
point.
arrow.
I'm gonna cast.
Yeah, someone just took an arrow straight to the sternum.
Yeah, I'm
Can I do the healing
dying.
word then?
Yeah, if you want, you could healing word and heal from a range, or you can walk up and just kind of tap the shoulder to cure
Slap.
wounds.
We'll do it from a distance.
You gonna do
From a
healing
distance?
word?
Okay,
Yeah.
healing
Alright,
word.
ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
What am I supposed to
This is
do?
happening.
The sick freestyle.
Word.
Word off the hizzy.
Yeah.
Straight from the bottom.
Guys, we're white. Ooh.
You're not wrong.
All that hip hop is about it.
Alright, cool. So for healing word, as far as the spell goes, when it comes to spells, like get ready to pull them up on your phone. Healing word, if I am correct, heals 1d4 plus wisdom modifier. him because he's there. What?
This is what I do. The youngest one.
Do you have a domain?
We're tapping for.
Yes, his
Here's the
domain
phone on.
is
Do you want me to just play music? I have some.
We got the
We
Bluetooth.
would not like to
Okay.
listen to the bagpipes.
Stop working on my LG.
anyway. So that's so that is a bonus action. You still have an action if you wanted to move and also heal or something like that.
I'll hide. Hide and heal.
All right, so you basically just like stop crouching, go.
That's actually.
All right, so go ahead and roll 1d4 and add your wisdom modifier
What's the
It's the
D4?
triangle.
or spellcasting ability modifier. I should say.
We'll have to use my dice too.
I don't want to use that.
Now, how do I read this?
So it's on the bottom.
Kind of, like, but sometimes when you just check the attack, it just unlocks simultaneously.
yeah.
You're like,
Okay. Oh, like
Just
that.
wanted to check this
I was like on the bottom. Like there's 3 numbers.
it's
Okay.
simple and boring.
Yeah,
and then
so-
I do my wisdom score?
So your spellcasting modifier. So go back to your spells page,
Is this Kanye West?
No.
and at the top of the page it says spellcasting ability modifier. So not the spell save, but the other one.
Attack bonus.
Hey there.
Yes,
That's plus 5.
yes. Connor, do you have proficiency for healing word?
No.
Okay, so it is just your wisdom. I'm an
Okay,
idiot.
so then that's 3.
Cleric. Okay.
Does that include this the smaller number attached?
The smaller number attached applies if you have a check mark.
I thought you played the
Right.
game before, right?
No.
He's played the tabletop. He plays the Lord of the Rings tabletop RPG, which is the One Ring. It relies on D12s, not D20s.
Oh.
Oh my god, the dice
Is
roll
that the
is
one
so
where you were
high.
like, kill you?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
If there's a check mark next to it, then the mod would have been category of
Well, actually,
That is
for
for
something like a range.
for the overall stat. You mean?
would
Yeah.
it just
So those
be-
are for
Does that
saves
have a
only,
ranged
not for
weapon?
general checks. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if somebody were attacking you and you had to make a spell save, that would be what you
Like I have
would do.
athletics checked. That means
Yeah,
I'm
so you're
proficient.
proficient with athletics. So if you had to make an athletics check, the stat modifier plus the ability score.
Oh, you had the proficiency bonus.
Yes. Basically, if it's checked off, you add the proficiency for whatever that skill is.
Because you are proficient.
So, that said, you roll the 1 plus your wisdom modifier of
3.
3. Cameron,
Dun,
a swirl of light
dun.
envelops you,
Oh shit.
and the arrow in your sternum, it hurts a little bit less and kind of falls out as you heal.
Oh, okay.
As you heal, what was it? 1 plus your Wismod is
Is it 4?
4. So you heal 4 damage, and you like you turn your head to see just a hand poking out from behind the cauldron, just like
Word.
healing word.
Free throw.
Kobe.
Oh my god!
This is all I
It's
do
just a
now.
little basketball. Roll perception. Yeah, roll perception.
12. What do I add to it?
So you add whatever the skill is under, plus if you have proficiency in it, you add proficiency as well.
So 12 and 3 and the proficiency up here.
Are you proficient in it?
Non-perception.
Okay, so you just add your wisdom modifier.
There's a 3 there. That'll be
15. As you're starting to like duck behind the cauldron, you can see the half elf you heal just give an OK symbol from a distance.
Is she though? I'm kind of concerned.
Are you?
Arrows in the chest are a real
Cleric,
like,
you
got
know.
that, Kobe. Do something.
You spoke a word.
Kobe her again.
Alright,
That'll be okay.
so
I got the okay.
that's Toes' turn. Who's next?
Can I go next?
Sure.
Wait, can I use Bardic Inspiration?
He raised his hand first.
Damn it!
Yes.
I'll use it afterwards and he won't get me.
We'll just get it for another time.
So I'm gonna try to use chromatic orb,
Okay.
and then
I like chromatic orb.
That's one.
yeah. You're gonna have to
trying.
forgive me for this. I don't know exactly the roll for a hit. It's just a d20, right? And then
Roll the hit
Unless
for the
otherwise
chance.
stated, most things as far as hitting are a d20.
okay, d20.
Yep.
Right? So
So d20 plus your spell casting modifier for hitting it, if I'm correct. I'm pulling up the spell to double check.
Oh no, you're fine. It's fully healed. It's just.
Command Wait, what? And Monica's gone.
How are you gonna get out? Grayson
Yeet.
Connor, He Scoots his chair one way or
Are
the
three
other.
of you
Huh?
watching the stream?
Oh.
Maybe.
No.
Grayson.
I'm not anymore.
We have
but
3 viewers?
There used to be
Yeah.
4.
Well, it tells me if someone's watching or if they comment, it pulls up on my phone.
So we should comment.
Thank you.
We should
Yeah,
definitely
you
come
could.
all the time.
You could.
Can we donate?
Yeah.
Bring it back to the game.
I don't know if I have that set up on my YouTube or not. We're not just newbies at D&D, we're newbies at
Everything. We're newbies to life. Like most of you are
Oh my
only
god,
like
Connor, you're on there too. Oh my lord.
I feel like I should change my name at this point just to make it funnier.
make it canon, change all our YouTube names to our characters.
Oh my god, I will. Don't even test me. I will.
Can you donate? I wouldn't know because I'm the one that's hosting it.
I mean, yeah, you can set up donations for live streams.
Okay, I'd have to set that up. I don't think that's set
And you
up.
have 38
No, bitch,
subscribers?
sorry.
I have none.
I-
Donate a
You
cent.
know,
I
it
have
also
38.
zooms in and Monica just like
Donate
38 what?
What?
38 what?
I have 38 subscribers.
Oh.
I have 0, so it's fine. I also just have random.
Connor has to be one, right? You're one of my subscribers.
Definitely not.
We're definitely sub for sub.
Is this the Gillidan account?
Gillidan for the win, yeah.
Yeah, I'm subscribed to that.
Oh
It's
shit.
Emily sent it to me.
Yeah, I
It feels
subscribed
so
like
loved.
years ago.
Yeah, that's true. It was years
I've been there
ago.
I
since
don't know
the
how to
beginning.
That was
set
when,
up
like,
followers, so
Dan
it's
and I
not-
made
It just says
YouTube channels.
subscribers on that.
I don't think so.
We have
But I
like
don't-
Overwatch videos.
Sorry, what?
I
I
like
like
that.
zoned out.
There you
What?
are.
You're a tier 12
Oh, I have one
subscriber then?
subscriber.
Gillidan?
Well, I have a video that has 72 views, but I only have one subscriber, so.
You'll get there, man.
You're gonna- Where you going?
I
Not
wish.
yet. I'm waiting for
That would be pretty fun.
Okay.
You
I'll
should
be up
just
for
take
like 10
email to other people.
And then you're gonna go to sleep.
Okay.
Oh, this is
So, David, you're rolling chromatic orb.
Yes.
I have
Okay.
one that has
Go ahead, roll.
629 views.
I rolled a
That's my
19
Innoctem.
19?
that I did
Is
back
that with or without
Yeah, you
mods?
have no
without mods.
Yep.
Okay.
I also have
Which
one
mod
with
do I use for
135 and one with
Spell attack. So when you go to your spell list,
They're all
towards the
music.
top of that in the left corner, it'll tell you what's
It
up.
really does.
Oh, it's an attack bonus?
I totally forgot
Yes.
about this.
So you add that.
Okay, so 25.
25? That'll hit. Which one are you hitting?
I'm going for one
Hello.
that's closest
I did that
to
back in
me in proximity.
I actually had a
So
friend
whether
who did
that
this
be
with
that
his
way or
fire.
Are you willing to
Drops.
move?
He
to
had
hit
like a little
better?
Working away.
quartet and they did
Okay.
this.
So the closest one is in front of the blue figure who was in the hole.
Oh,
Alright,
that's right.
I will go for that one.
Okay. And what damage type?
I think I'll go for lightning.
Lightning? Alright. So a ball of electricity starts swirling down the corridor as it hits the skeleton. Roll your damage. Damage.
Jordan, if I go
Alright.
unconscious, do I revert?
Yes. Yeah, we talked about that.
There was a lot, and it was like.
I know. Well, not just yesterday. That was like a few weeks ago or something.
Cameron, what is your profile picture?
Anyway, your damage?
Total of 8.
It's Kim named
8 damage?
Which
from
skeleton?
BTS.
Between 3d8?
It's me.
Yep. Alright.
It's on me.
That is skeleton.
What should I change my name to?
Your character's
I believe
name.
skeleton
Oh, yeah,
2 was
that's what we're
damaged,
doing.
right?
Yeah.
Four hits on it. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Skeleton 2 dies.
Spell my last name.
Alright, cool.
I know.
Following
okay,
that,
that's what I was
who's up?
looking at.
Me.
You have
There.
finished
Oh.
donning. You
Is
just got your
that, still,
armor.
is that still my turn, damn it?
Yeah.
Alright.
Well,
I didn't-
Desmond doesn't have his armor. He's
Okay.
just running in like a badass.
Oh, did you want to go? Did you want to, Cameron?
Huh?
Desmond, I'm assuming you took your shield, right?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you want me to take your
I
turn?
figured. Alright.
You raised your hand.
Cameron.
Jeez,
What are you
wow.
doing?
Can I do Bardic Inspiration now? Hell yeah!
Sing it.
Ah, what do I want to sing?
Sing with me.
It's fire! It's
This is our
I'm feeling everything. Suggestion.
Except being inspired.
Inspiration time. Let's roll.
Genly does not feel inspired.
Alright, there we go.
It's fire!
Faye, who's next?
Oh my god, that's so funny. It's fire!
I wanna hide in the cauldron.
You're at my hiding spot.
You're
In
in
the
the,
cauldron.
you're in the front lines right
Hiding behind her,
now.
Yeah, I wanna run away.
If you would like to run away, you would need to either be a recipient of an attack of opportunity, which means
Okay.
you run away and someone gets a free attack on you.
Okay.
Some two actually, because no, one died. Someone gets a free attack on you, or you can take an action to disengage. So you move one square, but that's your movement and action.
Okay, then I'll disengage.
Disengage.
Yes.
How many skeletons are near me?
There's the one in front of you died.
Oh.
And then there is one to the side of you, and 3 further ahead.
How many before I get to the one who shot the arrow?
You would do it and you would succeed.
There's the one diagonal of you, so you can just move forward, and you'd be adjacent to one with an arrow.
I watch a lot of Twitch.
Oh, so I can just go attack the one with the arrow?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
Before you do, Ganlin, what are you doing? You're just disengaging?
Disengaging.
Okay, cool. Mark that off. Alright, and then
I'm sorry. I'm surprised you're not crawling back under the table.
I feel like this is the...
Ganlin.
You understand? She's gonna.
You
when she tries to leave
kind of
it,
just,
she's gonna go under
like,
the table.
you kind of squeeze between Faye and Desmond to kind of back out a little bit.
Okay.
And Slaker.
Yeah. I want to go into a rage.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Slaker is it
And I'm totally gonna great axe the one with the
We have too much fun.
arrows.
There you go. I was like, word processing.
It's
Okay.
a side effect.
Go ahead and roll the hit.
For this,
She's a barbarian.
Loading.
She's busy going.
What do I?
Oh, that was it. That's all I got.
Nice.
Can you like donate to anything impressive?
What?
I asked if you could do anything impressive, and then you did
Yeah,
that.
yes. You ready?
14 to hit.
14.
Wait. Advantage. Just kidding.
Nice.
Yeah, because you're raging.
That's 15 with a bunch of mods, so that's over 20.
That'll hit. Roll bomb damage.
Leave me alone.
Because you were drawing with your hand.
Oh.
I wasn't.
Oh.
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 Ooh.
David just did the French inhale.
No.
What?
With his,
Sacre bleu.
No.
with his French
no,
ass.
no,
You know what the French
no,
inhale is?
Stop.
No.
No.
I don't know what you described.
The French inhale. It was actually a sneeze.
Please demonstrate it.
You just vape inside your mouth and then you breathe in through your nose, so you pull it out.
That's 14
He's
damage.
with
Only the French
14
can
damage?
do
Wait,
that.
15.
15?
I mean, I
Because I
can't,
have
and
magic
he's
weapon.
French, so it
Oh,
makes
Is
sense.
he French?
So
Have you looked at his
Sucker.
mustache?
And that's what you're great at?
Oui, oui, baguette.
Cool.
Oui,
Yep.
oui.
Hon, baguette.
Oh.
It dissipates. The strange figure before you just rushes forward at one with a bow and arrow and just cleaves it in half, and it disintegrates into bony dust. All right. Who's up?
Me.
Already inspired.
Desmond? Okay.
Are you gonna go? Okay, sorry. I was like,
What are you doing?
Desmond, me run up, me attack. Closest thing.
Closest thing, one with a short sword. Okay. Go ahead and roll a hit.
Attack.
Long leaf, short, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I know. You're anticipating this amazing play that's gonna happen.
No,
16.
I just saw the stream, and it just zooms in on you checking your phone,
Right.
setting it down, and going.
Zip on you guys so much.
It does.
And
Well,
takes it.
they're the
David's
most.
the most.
Yeah, the three of you are the most
The
like
most center,
easy to
right?
see.
Right.
You have a weird lighting thing
That's
where it's
true.
reflecting off of your glasses.
Refracting.
The glasses.
I have that
Also, what is
effect
with
on
her
my.
outfit in that video?
Ooh. Ooh.
I reflect it with my glasses.
Ooh.
Radiant.
16 to hit.
It is
16 to
radiant,
hit.
I
Will hit.
know.
Roll damage.
It's 11 damage.
11? Alright.
Which one's dead?
Skeleton 4 is dead. Skeleton 3 takes 11 damage.
Also dead?
No.
Okay.
9.
Bless you.
Okay. Cool.
6.
Maybe we should stop
Anyone else?
calling
One on the bottom.
vampires.
Is this a turn?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
Actually,
I feel like
you
I'm.
one time.
Not available.
0.
Cool.
Is this the
Alright,
one
cool.
that-
New round.
Oh, who took damage?
That skeleton is her going.
The skeleton.
Yeah.
We are not dying.
I'm gonna die.
I'm not paying.
What are you talking about?
I'm like 8 hit points left and I'm standing next to a skeleton.
8.
Oh no.
Oh no!
Can you just casually type 0 for those HP?
On here?
Just, yeah.
It's not on now.
I love that.
You tell me where's the 0.
She takes for health. Just put that as 0.
Return.
At the top of the
I
screen.
don't use laptops. Just
Why
scrolling.
not?
Because he's cool.
Maybe it takes
guess.
3 fingers. What the hell's
Alright.
going
So
You're
there's
just
that one.
establishmentarian and just aren't you?
Oh.
Desmond.
The
on?
moon bear.
Ted.
One of the
Desmond.
arrows
Yeah.
almost strikes you,
Now it's
but you manage to
Do it.
just.
Oh
shit.
Moon bear.
Is it working now?
How did I get
Working
Are you
here?
gonna
out
put
now.
something on your character sheet?
Finally.
Compulsively eat speeds.
You know I only have like 13 hits right now, right?
Yeah, I
You
know.
should have seen a
Sounds
lot
good.
of the stuff
I've got
that
it
we put on
written down.
medicines first.
That's
So
what
it
Just imagine
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happened.
Nah, I got you.
was pretty
I just
funny.
want to make sure I'm
Sick.
The joke
Alright.
was
I'm imagining it really hard.
So,
Then they find
Zion.
David,
Zion.
That's you.
Yes.
Take 8 damage as a stray arrow goes straight flinging over
If
the
it's in a storm,
chaos
I swear to God.
and into your road.
kind of ribs.
I'm gonna retreat.
Alright,
And start running towards.
new round. Where are you running?
I'm gonna run it to the what is it? The goblet? The cauldron?
Cauldron?
Cauldron.
Oh,
that's
black
what we
cauldron.
do.
You're running behind it, or
Yeah, I'm gonna run behind it
okay?
if there's any room.
I mean, you're a small person. A small gnome with an arrow just poking out of its robe just runs right next to you.
Jesus.
Is that your day?
Things are heating up.
With a scream just echoing through the chamber. Yes.
I'm not gonna be able to do
Oh,
much
no,
here.
Oh no, you're unconscious.
Not yet.
No, you're unconscious.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
took
you're
all
at
the
0, that's
You
right.
took 10.
Yeah. I didn't.
Oh, so they get to see me.
I didn't
Oh
write it.
no.
Yeah.
Is she alive?
We're gonna get to that. So one of them shoots at the gnome and the gnome just books it.
Zone.
So the sword for the one in melee just slashes into the undead fellow. Oh, call drop. Yeah,
Yeah,
you. Hold on. I have to
You're
recall
like the
Connor.
only
Read
undead
out.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except for the skeletons
Except for
attacking
the
us.
Connor!
What?
Connor!
Hello?
Connor! Connor!
Come back to us, Connor.
Connor, come back.
What?
Hello. So an arrow pierced Zion and he ran away. The sworded one stabs into the undead figure. Describe yourself.
Oh, I
That'll
don't
be
have
fun.
these descriptions handy. Okay,
Oh, okay.
1 second.
I mean, we can.
How about I
Google
just
search
find
it.
a picture?
Yeah, that works.
Well, Connor won't see it.
You don't have a video call going?
I do, but I'm not going to turn the entire laptop
Just he'll know what a silver slot is.
Just put it in the
gray.
group chat.
Is it gray?
Gray.
Thanks. Put it in
I just
the
want to
group
make that
chat.
I will
distinction.
send
There are
this in the
like
group chat.
gold ones.
Thank you.
Not salad.
Oh, is it gonna become a salad?
Huh?
I love salad.
Kinda.
Salad
Salad.
with blueberries and
Salad.
strawberries.
I'm curious to see if this works. It kind of does. I'm impressed.
Does it
Oh.
do the thing?
Oh, that's a decent one.
I just pulled up the default photo on Google Images, which is just.
That's
It-
what I'm
it is
trying.
a
Okay, you
photo.
send it. You send it. It's fine.
It looked like that.
Nice.
That was really quick.
That was like, hey, look
Yep.
at this picture of a grape.
Okay, here.
Of a grape? It works.
Yeah, you pull it up.
I'm working on it.
You pull up the
The
photo.
dragon from How to Train Your
Slow
Dragon.
going.
A large frogish creature with gray skin just kind
What is
of
the name of the group?
bubbles out
Cute.
Whoa.
of the undead thing.
Whoa.
Whoa.
It's a little weird.
Whoa.
Whoa. What's it?
It's called D&D Nerdy Home Campaign.
Yeah. The campaign name or
Yeah, I just read it off.
live
What the
stream?
freak? Okay.
No, for the messenger.
Ah,
This isn't
Yeah.
working, Emily. I'm just sending it to you.
Okay.
It's not letting me type a group.
Scroll down.
Okay, I'll just send it to the group then.
alright. We have
What's
5
funny
viewers
is-
now.
You sent
I'm convinced
video
we're all
of
watching
Spider-Man.
ourselves.
Yeah.
to the
To the
group
group.
chat.
No.
So it should be like there on your screen.
Like it should be the first thing that pops up when you open Messenger.
It's all good. I
You,
got it.
you know what's happening, and I'm fighting, and I don't know how to describe it.
Alright,
I
anyway,
don't know
so
much about Facebook, but I was
human-sized Battletoad,
I do.
gray Battletoad, just kind of
Battletoad.
just like bubbles out of the undead thing onto the floor. Following that, who's up? Zion just booked it by the cauldron next to the tiefling.
I'd like to run and jump in the cauldron.
Okay.
Are we all just running away now? Because
So
same.
I am.
Well, there's only 3 left.
How many skeletons? You said this. Oh, you just said
You beat you to the punch.
Alright, so Gamlin, you jump into the cauldron.
Yes.
Okay. Who's next?
Wait, what's the? I just want a general question.
Yes.
How wise is it to just use all your spells? Because you only get 2 a day, right?
You have 2 spell slots a day, yeah.
2 spell slots, as in, but how many times can you cast said spells in a day?
You can cast the 4 that you have prepared at your level, as many times as you like, provided you have the slots for that. So you get 2 per day. So 1 is gone because you cast Healing Word.
Okay, and then how? Would it be stupid to use another already, or is that like a common like?
That
putting
is-
it on back?
Determined by your characters and tactical choices.
Okay.
That's the vaguest way I can make it. I
You
mean,
said Vegas. I was thinking
Vegas,
about
like Lost.
city.
That's the biggest
Could
way
I
to describe
roll perception or something to see what
Too much rum in this.
skeleton's gonna attack the most
That happens.
needy? Like somebody who's super wounded in a critical state.
Which
Can I
kind?
see like?
she just collapsed unconscious.
Well, yeah, but like
It-
somebody else about to take another
It's a hot topic.
flop.
Roll insights.
Okay, what is that? Just a d20?
Yes.
Okay.
It's D20 and then it's the default die is a D20 unless basically it's a damage die or a spell effect or similar.
And then what do I add to that? What's the number add? Just wisdom again?
So insight, if you're proficient in that skill, you add proficiency, and I think it's under wisdom.
Okay, so I have
Yeah.
15, 18, 20.
Yeah.
Is that
So
right?
you
This
know
person's
what
proficient? I had that right?
Okay, so yeah, the modded 20.
Yeah.
Looking as far as the battlefield goes, you get the sense that, well, you can clearly see that there are 2 skeletons further off that are like readying their bows, and then there's the one with the sword that just took down whatever that is, and is getting
Yeah.
ready to swing at the human with the shield but no armor on.
So, can I use command on the one swinging at the one with the shield? That's attacking the person with the shield, no armor?
What do you wish to command?
Let me look at them. So I have a
So for command, you can tell it to approach,
I want
drop,
to tell it to
which is-
grovel.
grovel. Okay.
Drop.
Alright, so you need to what's your spell save DC? Which is next to the spellcasting ability on your spell page.
13.
13? Okay.
When I get in the shower.
So the skeleton has to see if it beats that wisdom score.
Can't be this.
I don't think it does.
This 20.
Skeletons aren't known for being very wise.
And spider skeletons.
Yeah. Alright. Alright, so what do you say?
I say, oh, you're a sad boy. I'm gonna make it happen. That's what I say.
You go, oh, you sad boy. Mark off a spell slot on your sheet. The undead looks at you like. They have eye You just see its head just kind of at you like, the fuck are you doing? And it continues doing as it do.
Oh, it passed?
It passed.
God damn it.
Well, let me more correctly say, your spell failed.
Yeah, fair enough.
I would read the description of command.
I will do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Only thing we're gonna find out.
There's a particular line that's very funny. Alright, so following that, who's next?
Is this the one word?
I'll go.
Desmond is going. And Jan. Okay, Desmond, what are you doing? You've got the one with the sword right in
I'm
front
gonna
of you.
move to the next closest thing and I'm gonna hit it with my sword.
There you
Roll
go.
the hit.
He looks like a hobo.
You look like a hobo.
Oh,
The
shit.
guy I went to high school with.
I take it you just saw the line.
Yeah. First I was like, is it the one word? And like, I said 3 words, and then it was like, can't do it if it's undead. And I was like,
The spell fails if the creature is undead, doesn't understand your language, or if the command will harm it.
It makes
Or if it
sense
can't
that I
fall.
wouldn't.
Yeah, that's fair. This is probably your first time ever encountering an undead as a character. Alright, while Desmond is rolling, what are you up
I
to?
said 15.
15 to hit?
Yes.
Oh, that'll hit. Roll damage.
Okay.
Skeleton. Malcolm Long, very powerful. 9?
9.
9. 9,
Yeah,
9, 9.
yeah, 9.
The one that took 11 damage is dead.
That's me.
No, that thing.
This guy will kill. Alright. Cool.
I hit the skeleton with a sword.
Sick.
Nailed it.
Really hard.
You're up.
Can do the same thing.
Okay.
Whichever one's close.
Whichever one's close. Well, you're on the opposite side of the room.
I don't know where I am. Let me see.
25. You can get closer, but you're not going to be able to hit anything. You're just kind of behind the unconscious body. Unless you want to sprint, in which case you can get into melee without attacking.
I'll just get closer.
Just get closer, but not into melee?
Yeah.
Alright. Jan sprints past the room as he just just scoots on by you and shows up next to Desmond. Fully adorned in armor.
Listen, worth it. Taking the 10 minutes to put your armor on. Wasn't it worth it?
He's got a 16, 18 AC. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
I mean, it was kind of worth it.
Very good. Very good.
Very good. Alright. Following that, who's up
What
next?
does his armor look like? I'm curious now. Anyway, also I'll attack when I reach you.
I had I don't know.
You collapsed.
Yeah, I know, but
I'm gonna have death saves at the end of a round. Unless...
I had resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, so I don't know if that makes a difference.
That has the damage too.
Yeah. He stole.
Okay. I'm a little late.
I'm like, that's 10 just on the die roll. That's without any mods.
Okay.
And he crit.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Stabby stab. So, are you squeezing past Desmond and Jan and over the unconscious body to yeet? Okay. Cool. Roll the heat.
Alright, it's a 14.
14. Roll damage.
Yay!
Damn that edge.
Yes.
Sugar cookies, that's sweet.
Where am I?
I said it smelled like sugar cookies,
Yeah.
but thanks for the
Yeah.
popcorn.
Yeah. Well, I was offering because that's what it smelled like.
8 damage.
Yeah!
What skeletons are you at?
5 and 6.
5 and 6. 5 takes 8 damage.
Yeah!
8 damage.
8 damage. Alright. Anybody else?
No.
Okay. You already went. Alright. Death save.
Why? 20.
20. Stand back up. You've got 1 health point.
Yeah.
Alright. That's your action.
Natural 20s.
Alright.
Good for the soul.
The 2 final skeletons.
And the body, apparently.
Does that mean you're
Pull
still
out
a
their
fish man?
swords and start
You're
swinging.
still the fish man? You saved yourself?
Yeah, I'm still,
Yeah.
still a
The skeletons do it.
blob.
I
I
should
didn't know
have
if you
brought
just like,
strawberry bananas.
I'm back, and you just right back into like the
Because like, whoop,
I wish.
one of them
About like a giant
is taken off guard by
But
this strange creature that's like stood up right after it collapsing to the ground, and it goes to swing at you and misses terribly. The other one in front of Faye pulls out its sword and just straight forward. Faye, take 6 damage.
Damn it! I thought you were talking. Well, probably -1.
Big oof.
You are unconscious.
Yep.
Faye collapses to the ground.
Big
Well,
oof.
you're unconscious.
Hey, I got one good hit in. That's fine.
All right.
God damn.
All right. New round. Who's up?
Me! How many skeletons are there?
What's 9 plus 10?
Since you're chewing, we'll do that first.
Yeah, I'll go next.
How many skeletons are there?
There are 2.
You pop them.
Which one's closer?
The closest one is right in front of you,
Which one
as
has
opposed to
more
left
damage?
in front of you. What?
Which one
Gives
has
you
more
at the
damage?
corner here.
Roll insight. Disadvantage. Since you just got back
I'll
up.
learn that damage.
I think a lot of things would be fun, but I don't do it.
I know how to dance to Go-Go by BTS. I also
16?
know how to do Boy in Love and
Alright.
Minecraft.
With the 16, you
And
get
that's
the
it.
idea that the one that just
That's it.
took out the
Oh my gosh,
half
I know
elf
those two.
is
No,
a little
it's like
bit more
what she
worse
does
for
in
wear.
Left or right?
Yeah, I know the routines.
Okay, but
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
look for the one
dude.
right in front of me. With
Dance
the great
with
axe.
them.
Roll to hit.
No.
Have I lost my bonus perks like rage,
Yes.
Have you ever wondered what the
what
bone
about-
feels like?
magic
What,
weapon?
which bone?
The color?
Yes.
Oh, I know.
You wanna feel it?
Also, you can't concentrate on spells while you're
Oh. Oh.
That's
That's
also
gross.
true. I forgot about that. Thank you, Connor.
You wanna feel it?
Don't do it.
Do it.
18.
Do it.
Don't need to hit it.
Yeah.
That'll hit. Roll damage.
Grab it.
Mm-hmm.
Whopping!
Because he weighs 2
Roll the
pounds.
one. Plus
A whopping
So that's 6.
6 damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, you only
Grayson.
get celery.
Undamaged skeleton takes 6.
Okay.
Yep. Cool.
You only eat
Next
celery and sriracha.
So I want to again use my bow and arrow, not
Juice.
Not without taking an attack
Oh, I thought you said
of opportunity.
juice.
Two.
I want to try and
Those have
shoot
no
this
calories.
skeleton closest to Faye.
Closest to Faye?
Yep.
Alright. Go ahead and roll.
So,
Is that a 7 or a 1? 7. One's next to it.
I'll get that we distinguished that.
Plus whatever you
9.
9 to hit.
You're welcome for your amazing stats.
You go and it just kind of whisks by, like straight through the ribs without hitting anything.
I trusted you.
You're the one that rolled my stats. Be aware of that.
Hey, they are good ass stats. I got you an 18.
Alright, following that, who's next?
Hey,
You have like a plus
Desmond,
6
what are you
mod.
doing?
Be happy.
I'm gonna run, and I'm gonna hit the next skeleton.
Okay. Are you just standing over Faye?
Was it the last one I hit dead?
There's one left in there.
No.
This is the whole part.
If you want it.
I don't think.
Well, I don't want to
I
hit
don't
that
remember.
We're good.
They're
Hold
pretty
on.
good. I mean, I don't like them because I don't like white chocolate.
The
Thank you so much.
there's one in front of Faye that's hurt.
White chocolate? Oh,
Was
bless.
it the one that I attacked last
Yeah,
time?
white chocolate's
It's
the worst.
really white.
I don't
You're still one standing
It's
there.
not.
I think the one that you attacked died.
You know what? I didn't come here to
That was
get
a
attacked.
Closest one.
I'm already getting fucking arrows to the sternum.
Are you just standing over
And
Faye's
whatever else
unconscious
has
body
gone
to
and a
stab the
sword to
dude in front of her?
stomach.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't come here to be attacked.
Cool. Go ahead and roll the hit.
22.
22 hits. Damage.
13.
13.
Yes.
That's why I made the
Can I
white
see that?
joke.
Skeleton 5
I'm very
goes
good.
down and collapses before Desmond's blade.
It smells like a
Yay!
Which one left or right?
The left one.
It's that cranberry pecan
Yep.
white chocolate
Cool.
thing.
Following that, who's next?
I'm done.
I'm just gonna keep hiding in the cauldron.
Okay.
Oh, wait, who was the
Yeah,
small being, the half gnome?
Him.
The half gnome.
Now, Mindy says it fixes small objects.
No.
Great
Stop
twist,
it.
though.
No.
Okay, is there...
Different size categories apply to objects and creatures. You troll. You troll.
We can just say
I'm
we're
assuming
both
there's no
small.
other way for me to heal them without...
You spent those spell slots, so
I can make a wild run out in the room and have my mace ready.
yeah, you
That'll
could do
do what
that.
I do.
You just pull out your mace and just sprint over towards the corridor.
Yeah.
5, 10, 15, 20.
To the next
Okay.
side. We had a 10 now.
If you wanted to, you could attack a skeleton.
Yeah.
You just kind of squeeze by and
Swing.
smack him. Roll to hit.
What did I try? Okay.
So beat 20 plus strength
So I
plus
just
proficiency.
use my stuff. I've got my earrings.
20.
Wow.
Yeah, 20. Roll damage, double it.
No, not 21. You got
So
Is it missing it or what I roll for damage?
No, 2-0.
whatever your weapon says. I believe for a mace it's a D6.
Like I can wear them, they're just uncomfortable.
Sounds right?
They just kind
You're
of
kidding. That's a regular
It's a
die.
D8.
No, wait. Mace?
A 12, and then you add.
Wait, it's not. It's not 12.
I rolled 6.
Roll the
Oh,
six
okay.
and stuff.
So add your strength mod.
I'm 0.
Okay, so 12.
You double mods?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Because it makes it funner and more cool. And it also makes it so that when they hit you, it also
It
hurts.
hurts more.
Oh, yeah. So, it goes both ways. The tiefling, in a fit of bravery, sprints up to the final skeleton in the hallway. Describe your insane destruction of what's left.
Just gonna like hit him in the femur, and then like when he collapses, I'm just gonna like keep swinging, even like after he's dead, and just like keep smashing him. It's like the opening to 2001: Space Odyssey.
Oh, just,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Alright. Alright, you just walk up there and Becky will smash. and after it's already like disintegrated into dust, you're just eyes closed, just swinging at the ground, just crunching what's left of the floor beneath. Alright. Any other actions this round? Yeah.
Make it darker by the darker.
Curse this camera.
What is happening?
It zoomed in on her when she went like that.
Yeah, it zoomed in on her.
It just automatically tracks motions. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Everyone
but it
forgets
zooms in
the
on David like
cauldrons there.
90% of the time. He's not even doing anything.
He just sits still
Yeah.
and just
I
like
know.
his face.
It does. Well, it's easier. I won't point out when you went.
Aww.
Alright.
Yeah.
Any other actions this
Is there
round?
anything still alive?
All the skeletons are down.
Including 6.
There's an unconscious half-elf.
We should figure something out.
We'll
I
clean
think we should
this
figure
food.
something out about that. We should fix that.
I feel like you're the only one who cares.
Desmond's going to the bathroom, so he's a little busy.
The only reason Nugget cares is so he can get inside of that pouch. He wants those ears.
Don't.
Imagine that out of context.
It was for me.
I really
so.
hope
Last year,
Yeah.
the first time I met the group, they were collecting goblin ears, and Faye put one in, and I legit went and stuck my hand in
Yeah,
the
because I
bag.
put one in my pocket, so I had my hand still in my pocket. She just put her hand in the pocket, so I like
God.
slap her away. It was so funny.
Alright. So is anybody doing anything?
I'm unconscious.
Yes, you are.
I'd like to peek out of the cauldron and see what I see.
Peeking out, you can see Nugget is like in the middle of the room. Turning around, Zion's kind of like behind you. And you can kind of see Yawn in the corridor. Beyond that, everything's kind of out of sight in terms of the hallway. So that's what you see poking out.
I'm just gonna like keep my head up but stay in the cauldron. So like just kind of like observing everything.
Okay. Anything else?
Nugget is just poking Faye.
Faye, death save.
Did you say move my peanuts? That's not what that is.
I said move your I meant to say popcorn, but I didn't finish the word.
Move your
I got a 14.
14?
Yeah.
Alright, that's one success.
You pick boy.
Alright, anybody doing anything?
I'm gonna walk over to this guy in my gray, sluggish form.
Okay.
Be like, good job. You fought well.
You fought
Thanks.
well.
Then, like recovering from my fit of rage, I'm just like exhausted, so I'm just like.
Okay.
Is Faye still on the ground?
Yep.
Welcome back.
Holy man,
What do you think?
could you maybe look into that?
I bruise easily.
Holy man, can you look into that? And he's pointing at the unconscious body.
Am I able to do anything in this situation?
Yeah.
What can I do?
Well, one thing. Actually, roll knowledge at advantage because you're a cleric. This is something you specialize in.
It is.
This might be why people died last time.
Okay.
Oh my god, I
This might very well be why people died last time.
Okay.
So, all this
Alright, and then I add wisdom,
locked up from my room. For some
Or
reason.
intelligence,
Like, nobody
you
else's room up there.
For
just
knowledge,
mine.
I think it's
So I was like,
int.
oh my god, there's like a portal in my room and it traps all the smells.
Ding.
Alright, well, let's just say so 1, so I got 14.
That explains
14 plus 1,
everything.
so 15 on the roll. You can likely get some incense and try to bandage up what wounds to stabilize the unconscious body so that they don't die.
Alright, I will do such. And then as
Keep
I
them
do
from
it, I'll
bleeding
make
out.
a weird chance.
Okay.
Like, oh, you're gonna be alright.
I like to imagine the clock is actually in the game just, oh, you're gonna be alright.
You're gonna be alright.
Oh, you're gonna be alright. Alright, go ahead and roll medicine. This is what?
Some simple ways the U.S. could get out of debt. Sell Wyoming.
Son of a bitch.
What would you do?
Okay, so I got a 1.
Nat
No,
one?
like 2 pennies.
Yeah.
Oh.
2
What?
pence. 2 pence in a corner.
They could
I
also
don't know,
start
it
selling
has
crap.
oil.
They can start selling crap.
Probably not much now.
Probably not.
Some advantage is horrible.
So, Faye, you're
Also,
unconscious.
guess who's gonna be
Faye,
at
Faye,
Coachella this
Faye,
week?
Faye,
Black
Faye.
Faye.
Cameron!
What?
So you're unconscious on the ground,
Uh-huh.
bleeding out. The cleric goes over to bandage your wounds and to like light some incense to try to wake you up and stabilize your condition. When he goes to like light the incense, it falls and you're on fire. So that's automatically one death save failure. So that's where things are. Does anybody else want to try
You
something?
die.
Alright.
You guys are so lucky I have a second character already up. Just in case.
Can I put the fire out?
Yes, sir. I'm just gonna say you can do that as a bonus
What do you
action.
do, stomp on her?
No! Get the fire! Ah! Breaks a couple of ribs.
So that's
I
another
will
death
use
save,
laser
God.
object interaction to stomp on her chest.
We have done it.
Okay.
Fire out.
Yeah. You
Well,
put
I'm
it
trying to
together now.
save you.
Well, we're gonna get another tiefling, guys.
I mean, if you'd like, I can have you roll dex, but I'll just leave it at that. Alright,
But yeah, no, Blackpink's going to Coachella this year.
so
Oh, that's dope.
there's an unconscious body on the floor. What are you guys doing?
I don't know what I'm doing with this box.
Still on fire or no?
Not on fire anymore, but still unconscious and bleeding out.
I can't do anything.
Is there, what, I don't know
Only
what
we
all
had
you can do in
somebody
this type
who
of
could
situation.
heal
Any
and
kind of
possibly didn't have horns.
any form of healing or medicine checks can try to stabilize the
So,
body.
like, what's a medicine check?
Medicine check is a skill in which you roll a d20 and add proficiency if you're proficient, and just the skill bonus
What are you
if you
doing
don't.
with it?
Alright,
They're
then I'll
metal.
try that.
Yeah.
But I don't.
This
yeah.
one.
So you're coming out of the cauldron?
Yep.
Wait. 17?
Yeah.
Alright. You managed to stabilize the slightly charred, unconscious body of Faye Nilo.
You guys
Faye.
better not have messed up my hair.
Faye. Well, you fell to the ground, so that's already a little bit of a mess. You got a little bit of blood in it, but you're alive.
Like,
That's the
I
key
like
factor.
smooth it out is when she says that.
It's just somebody better not have messed up my hair.
You guys better have not burnt my hair off. I worked hard to grow this out.
So, Faye, you are now at 1 hit point.
Oh, thank God.
Because I'm lazy and I'm just going to say it's at 1.
Well, if this
Because
was a
then
puzzle,
you're
we
not
would've
just an
never-
unconscious body that's not dying.
There
I'm
you go.
gonna light a torch and just walk towards her.
You're just standing over her right now.
Oh, then I'm just gonna light a torch and stare you in the face.
I just kind of have
This
shivers from
large
like an unconscious
gray
experience,
frog
like
thing is
subconscious.
just eyeing you down.
I'm just shivering from like some subconscious thing I'm not aware of. Because I wasn't awake for being on fire. But my body remembers it.
I mean, if you look down, there's just a scorch mark.
Yeah.
I just
The
woke up,
possible
okay?
second
An awkward
burns might
timeline.
too.
Jill lights a torch and you have a scorch mark on you.
I'm just
I'm
gonna
gonna
kind
hand
of try
the
and
torch to the
roll
tiefling.
away.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go like this and be like, please.
No.
I'm just gonna roll away.
Alright, so you hand the torch over to Nugget.
Just roll.
Add a torch minus a torch. Alright. So before you is a large dark corridor with Nugget holding a torch. You can kind of see there's what appears to be a chamber kind of further in with the outline of a couple of stony structures, like possibly coffins or sarcophagi that these skeletons must have climbed down.
Oh.
on.
Can I investigate one of them?
Can you?
I look inside. I peer inside.
Do I think I'm still in Fae?
You
This
think
is
you're
this is
in
Skyrim.
Oh.
You're inside of a structure.
Rogers.
There's not a lot
Yeah,
of
I
structures
press
in
E.
Feywild, but like there's some.
Interactive.
Yeah.
You think you're in Fae?
Creek.
The Feywild.
Gold.
Gold.
Another
Everyone gold.
another
Oh,
plane of
Minor
existence.
healing potion.
I thought she meant Fae.
Oh shit, I'm enchanted Nordic Center.
Wait, what are all your races?
That's racist.
I'm a scourge
Asmar.
Azamar.
He's a glowy boy.
I am
He's a
a
human.
I'm a dark glowy boy.
That's a gnome. Those are both half elves.
Kenku.
That's a bird.
Literally just a
I'm a
bird.
tiefling.
That's a Satan.
That's a Satan. That's a good
A,
Satan.
holy Satan.
Holy
Wouldn't
Satan!
it be
Which
an
one is
unholy
least likely to be in
Satan?
the Feywild?
Burn someone. We're dying. Well, begin to clean up
The most likely will be the half elves.
Oh, sorry, I was just being proactive.
Least likely,
How holy are you? You
Just
just set a
planning
person on
ahead.
fire.
Yeah, not very.
I mean, you know what a halfling is?
No.
So the gnome is like kind of similar to stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna walk up to the gnome and
It's a
just kind
bird.
of like
That's at least nature.
I'm gonna walk up to
I'm
the
saying you're
gnome
more familiar with
and
the gnome.
crouch and just look you straight in the face.
Does he still have the arrow in his ribs?
What?
The gnome?
are you?
Yeah.
I'm just here.
I'm gonna pull his hair.
I'm gonna step back and try to go on the other side of the cauldron.
I'm surprised he's not screaming.
Where did you come from?
One question, please.
Where did you come from?
From somewhere important.
Meanwhile, Dawn, you're
That was a fun
you're
line.
adventuring further in. Yawn!
Yes.
I'm staring at you, calling your name. You're venturing further in.
Yes, I wanted to look inside the sarcophagus.
Roll perception.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I don't mean to say the friends use me.
16. Which one are you looking at? There are, as you step in, there's 3 on both sides and 1 further down.
That's the point.
The one
See,
closest
this
to
is
my
why
right.
I wanna fight
The
for
one closest to your right,
Is
you
that
kind
where
of
you
take a
slow
look in,
It
and
wasn't
you can
yesterday.
see that there is a kind of plethora of cobwebs and like
Nope. It's right here, Denver.
like
Alright.
dust and maybe
It's roll call,
remnants
right?
of stuff.
Huh?
It's glow
Okay.
ball. Right?
Please focus
I
on the
just-
game.
What website are you
It's us we're
using?
talking about, like, it's never gonna happen.
I'm the
Say it,
only one.
Monica.
Credit if we try this.
Game, please. Thank you.
There's nothing in that one.
There's cobwebs and dust. I don't know what more you want.
Bag it up.
Call it a day. Can I look Is that my turn?
I mean, you can
Can I
roll
look in
perception
the
if you
others?
like.
Can I look in the others?
You may roll perception if you like.
13.
13?
Yeah.
As far as like at a glance, it seems like the lids of the sarcophagi have been kind of moved aside, kind of looking at the different larger stone structures. You get the impression that that's where the skeletons might have come out. The one on the far end, though, seems to be sealed.
Alright. That's my turn.
I mean, is anyone else doing anything?
I want to get away from the once burning body. And,
Okay.
I think I'll just go over with him since he's kind of doing his own thing, and also just kind of glance around in the other, like idly glance in the other like coffins and just be like.
Okay, so you're just kind of like
Dust.
leaning behind Jan, is like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else doing anything?
I'm gonna ask the gnome.
Oh no.
Where shut up. Where am I?
I'm just gonna smile at her really awkwardly.
I'm just gonna get up and then go find this one because I like him.
And meanwhile, I'm still rolling.
Where am I?
I'm just rolling.
We are currently
rolling.
in the
Oh,
catacombs.
we're just going
Where are we right now?
in the thing.
I don't remember the name.
Refer to your notes.
I don't have notes.
Refer to the message I sent you, which
Damn it.
that's what I say. Anyone else doing anything?
Can you heal your own health points?
Likely.
I'd like to try, I guess.
Okay. How would you like to try?
I don't know.
Oh, now it is.
What did he say?
It's because I waited.
What was that?
Kinda messed up.
We're in the tomb.
What does that mean?
But we're in
I don't know.
Of,
I mean,
The music's
Well,
suspicious, guys.
I will refer to
Yeah,
your
sure.
character sheet and see what you
Yeah.
think would be most applicable when it comes to healing your own wounds.
that's what I'm looking
leave
at,
that
but then
for
you're
your-
looking at me. So I'm trying to
Yeah, I'm waiting to see what you say because I'm interested to see if you're like athletics. I would like to use athletics to heal my wounds. That's what I'm waiting for.
Come up with the story for that.
Yeah. Justify it well enough, it might happen. It might be really hard to
I
pass
run
that check.
around in circles for 2 hours to heal myself. Like the wind blows my wounds.
Was that correct, Connor?
I'm sorry, Merman.
Okay. All right, Jan.
Yes.
What are you currently doing?
Oh, well, if I can. I'm gonna go to the one that's sealed.
Okay. You approach. As you approach, you kind of pick up on a very faint, like slightly echoey sound almost. It's very muffled, so it's kind of like
Oh boy.
that's about what you can hear.
Okay. I slam on it with the hilt of my sword.
On the lid of the sarcophagus?
Yeah,
or? Okay. Smack. And then you hit a large stone structure with the back end of a sword. It echoes a little bit through the chamber.
Where am I?
Okay, ask that one more time, I swear to God.
We are
Did
in
you
the
find something,
catacombs
Jan?
of Sextus Various.
Interesting.
I'm still rolling away, by the way.
Do I use that up?
No, I'm
Roll
just
perception.
rolling. I just want to roll.
Toes. Roll perception as well.
Roll perception?
Yeah. 13?
Oh, 20! Dude, what the hell?
Not 20?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. The two of you hear the muffled. You can barely hear, like, beyond the muffled sound, you can hear kind of like a slight clinking of metal coming from the sarcophagus.
Ooh. Do I hear that?
No. He got a nat 20, but dude.
Oh, nice.
The four of you, what are you guys doing?
I don't want like
I'm
that.
still rolling.
Just like out of the chamber?
No, I'm
or...
just rolling around the chamber, just in circles.
Okay.
Like-
Rolling.
Like stop, drop, and roll kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll
trying to
athletics.
Roll athletics for my rolling.
Yeah.
Well, let's
I'm
see
looking
which
at athletic
one.
check.
I don't think that's gonna be good. I got an
8.
8.
Gain 1 level of exhaustion as you're rolling
God
around the
damn
chamber.
it.
She said F for respect. So.
F said E.
Oh, Jordan.
Where do I put the level of exhaustion?
Just, no, you do.
You exhausted yourself rolling.
Yeah.
Write that down somewhere.
I'll
Do I
Write
make
that
it?
in your doc.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess, can I try medicine on myself?
I'll put it right
You
here.
certainly can. Go ahead and roll medicine at.
One,
Since you're kind of trying to treat your own wounds, roll at disadvantage.
Okay.
Can I also do a medicine on myself?
Can you?
Yes, I can.
7.
7? I mean, you basically just
Really need it.
you just cover up where you're bleeding, but you're not really like healing anything. You're just
Yeah.
you just stop the bad stuff. Same thing
I'd
for
like
you.
to see what Jan's doing, if I may.
I got 9.
All right, Desmond, you are stepping into the room.
And 9.
9, same situation. Okay.
Wait.
Following that, anything else?
Do I have an action left? Can I say something to like the people in my vicinity?
Currently,
that just
we're
for you?
not operating on
This is 69.
initiative
Cool.
turn order.
This is the
We're
same.
just kind of
Oh.
what are people doing?
But
So they're treating themselves.
Right.
She's rolling around the room.
Cool.
Nuggets there.
So right now it's
But I thought that was a
Desmond, Jan. Your name? We know your name? Okay. Big ol'
Big
frog.
old gray
Person.
frog
Yeah, and then myself in the room with the
with the sarcophagus.
Right.
sarcophagus. Okay. I would like to say, just to announce the information. I imagine we're gonna open this at some point in time, but I think maybe we should heal everyone else, or at least see to their wounds,
Yeah, I think they were.
because this is like some scratching, pencil noises on inside sarcophagus, some metal. I don't know. Maybe there's some swords,
I don't like the sound.
razor
Why don't we
bats.
just like nail it shut if it's coffin?
Okay, heal me.
Well, it's
Then
Didn't
we'll
go too well
leave.
last time.
But
I mean,
Can I use
you,
my-
you healed her.
Can I use
Just
my
fine.
sense
Yeah,
evil
I
or
only have one
good
hit
thing
point.
yet?
Can you?
Heal me some more.
I just don't
I'll
remember
stop
if that was a
rolling and
starting skill or
everything.
not.
Is it?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Thank
Can I
you.
use divine sense?
Can you?
Yes, I use divine sense.
Yeah. There you go. Okay.
May I use divine sense?
All right. You're kind of like sniffing around to see if you can kind of pick up on any trails of what kind of undeath are in the air. Other than the now deceased bones of the fallen, you can pick up on the hint of a skeleton of some kind coming from within the sarcophagus.
I can't tell like how evil or how strong it is.
It is a skeleton.
Okay, it's just
That is the species.
yeah. Okay.
If you look into Divine Sense, what it is you can tell the type of creature it is, but you don't pick up on the alignment of it or a name if it had one. You get the creature and that's it. So, in this case, that's a skeleton.
I proclaim to the others nearby. It's a skeleton in there.
Can we leave?
Are you gonna heal me or not?
Are you going
Is there any healing I can do, like, other than spells? Like, is it just roll healing? What is that?
I mean, you can look at your skills as far as stuff goes. There's medicine checks, kind of the only real thing.
I could do that, right?
You can attempt that, sure.
Let's do it. So I just roll a 20.
So you just roll it as a skill.
Okay, you roll an 18. And then
Okay.
I add it to...
That's pretty good.
I have that favor. So what? That's like a wisdom, so plus 3 and then plus 2?
Mhm.
Okay.
after he kind of tends to your wounds and your strange biology, heal 2 hit points.
Oh! I'm at 3. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Yep. Anybody else doing anything?
Can I go knock on the door, like the coffin lid? Just
Yeah.
like, yeah, just knock.
I'm
Okay.
gonna knock back.
The 2 of you are knocking on a large stone slab.
So, are we just gonna open this or leave it? What do we...
Can I roll whatever stat you need to roll to figure out how to open it?
I mean, it's a stone slab on a sarcophagus. You can just push it.
Hey,
Oh.
sniff boy.
It's
I'm
large.
gonna push it.
Push it off?
Okay, go ahead and roll athletics. The door.
Jesus, Casper is just busy.
18?
Yeah.
Alright. As Desmond just finishes up his statement, the large gray frog goes, woof! And roll.
They hit
You
the
barking? I can't see him around the cardboard, so all I
This is
hear
gonna be
is
unfortunate. She just gives it a large shove,
Okay.
and the stone slab falls off of the sarcophagus. And a skeleton with a very large engraved sword and black gauntlets just cuts at her. Frog just cuts at it, and that is
More than 3.
yeah. What's your max HP?
3.
14.
So you don't instantly die, but you are unconscious.
Okay.
Okay.
Again.
As you just see a sword and a bony arm with black metal gauntlets just cut straight out of the lid.
You know, I was just about to pray for
Into the
divine
gray frog.
wisdom to see what was actually in there, but
Can I use another chromatic orb as soon as I see this?
You're just like, oh.
Roll perception.
Roll perception?
You haven't stated you've entered the room, so you don't know necessarily what's going on.
That is true.
Oh,
Which
light
I
it
guess
up.
I still don't know what's going on.
What was your roll?
Probably around 6? Yeah, I think it was 6.
You hear a clatter. That's about it.
Can I standing there?
oh, it's clatter.
Desmond, you
Clearly makes Limpy light. Yeah.
Is it currently prone or has it stood up?
It is prone.
Does that grant me advantage on my melee attack?
Yes.
Okay.
I was gonna let the die decide whether or not that sarcophagus provides some protection in that regard, but it is not
Gotcha.
enough.
Okay, I got a 18 to hit.
18.
Yes, sir.
All right. You reach in with your sword to stab at the creature, and you just narrowly manage to pierce through its chain shirt and roll damage.
9.
9 damage? Okay,
Yes.
cool. Now that that's done, who's next?
Me. I'm close by, right?
Yes.
So, yep, I'm right next to it. Alright. I'm going to use... I'm just going to swing my long sword at it.
Okay.
There's a thing in the coffin. Let's stab it.
Stab.
What'd you get?
I'm looking for... Oh.
Should be in the middle of the top of your page.
Oh, 8.
Not really good.
8 to hit?
Yeah.
Does not hit.
Okay.
Okay. You go to swing at it, and it off of the shield.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
I
gonna
too-
roll another medicine check.
Go for it. Yeah.
No.
Dang it.
I'm gonna say that you can self-bandage once a day.
Okay.
Because that's like Star Wars rules. I'm kind of bringing you to this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to smash with me mace.
Alright, go ahead. Roll to hit.
Oh, where'd it go? What is this? It's a 6.
6 to hit.
Yeah, and I have nose. Yeah.
That does not hit. Okay. Alright, so
Blame you for rolling on the bag.
as far as people in the room, that's the end of that. People outside of the room. Zion already rolled. Gamlin, Faye, Nugget, roll perceptions. See if you know what's going on.
Nat 20.
Not 20.
Oh, yeah, she knows.
If you're fighting in the next
She
room and
knows
you're
better
like,
than we do.
fuck, there's probably another skeleton. You hear the clatter and noise coming from the room, and as you look down the corridor, you can see that the large toad creature has fallen over. Just clap. Alright, and Faye?
14.
14? Similar scenario. You kind of roll over for your final one, just go. Was that rolled at disadvantage?
Was it a disadvantage?
You're
I
exhausted.
forgot. I don't know what the levels of exhaustion are.
Level 1 is skill checks are all at disadvantage.
Ew, why is yours green?
I have like 4. They're all different colors.
Mine are green. Mine's prettier green than that.
Disadvantage is 12.
Yours is a
12?
beautiful forest green, or hers is.
You after you catch a breather, you look down the corridor and you can see the frog has fallen over and there's some kind of skirmish happening down there. All right. Following that,
I have a metal one.
skeleton goes.
These are the ones I got.
I also have a glow in the dark one. I don't know what happened to it.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I have
All right.
I mean, I like how we were prepared for this and we still missed all of our attacks.
One
One of us died and one of the other
Wait, it's not
unconscious.
dead yet.
It
Unconscious.
legit looks red.
It's orange.
Oh, no, it's not.
Monica,
Yeah.
roll
That's
D100. Oh, I dropped my D100.
Kind of.
There
Especially in this lighting.
Yeah. It's
Tell me what you'll get.
It's one of my mom's. This one and this one.
55.
Purple.
55?
Red.
55.
So you're red, green color.
All right. The skeleton goes to stand up and takes a wild swing at you. However, it does not manage to hit. It's aiming for Desmond for piercing him. Desmond, you get a free attack on him as a reaction, if you would like.
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay.
No, I have 2.
Got a nat 1.
That is a mod 20.
Mod 20?
Yes.
That'll fucking hit. Roll damage.
9.
9?
Yes, sir.
It goes to swing at you, and you pierce it straight in its shoulder and just keep plunging, and it collapses before you. Its
Oh,
bones
shit.
turn to dust.
Nice, Kenor.
The chainmail is kind of ruined, but the shield is still good, and there's still
Desmond.
these very fine black
Destroy the
gauntlets
skeleton.
and a very large sword.
Is it like a two-handy kind of sword?
It is. Let me pull it up.
I'm gonna pick that up.
I believe it's just a long sword.
You don't even kill you.
Nice looking
Yeah,
mod.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Go on in, you bag.
Paladin with
Pull
an
on it
engraved sword.
That is. It appears to be a long sword.
I'll take the gauntlets.
We just
Okay.
And I'll take the sword.
Oh, fuck. I wanted the gauntlets.
He spoke up first.
I love how it's in game.
Alright. I mean, he picks it up and grabs the sword. Do you want to lay claim to anything, or?
Well, he said he took the gauntlets too, so.
Yeah, he just picked it up out of the coffin. There's also a shield in there.
Is it a better shield than what I have? What kind of shield is it?
It's a shield.
Not the gauntlets.
It's the same as
Forever.
other
Why? You
shields
guys
on
don't like
appearance.
seeing my shirt?
Nope. Nope.
Can I,
Is that what it's called?
stat wise, do I know if
I
it's
called her a
better?
hard
Roll perception.
It's alright. It's better than what I fucking called her that one time.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk about
I heard a
it.
bit of it in the car.
We don't talk
16.
about
Next
it.
time you want to
16?
I'll be like, Trevor, you can't. Here's why.
Grayson, Jan looks into the sarcophagus, and looking at the shield, it appears to be rather plain. On closer inspection on the gauntlets, it appears that they have these streaks of red flames kind of etched going from the fingers up towards the wrist. With regards to the sword, you can see that it's got some kind of inscription on it as Desmond lifts it out of the now vacant coffin.
Desmond,
Yeah.
do you wish to lay claim to those gauntlets? If not, I will gladly use them.
Well, that is kind of why I was grabbing them, but
Well, it was your
I
kill.
mean-
It is yours.
I mean, I don't.
No, it was your kill.
Yeah, screw it. Yeah, it is mine. You're right. You're absolutely right. You can have the shield though.
Membership.
Very well.
Add a shield to your inventory. It weighs 1.
I need something to go to.
Connor,
Gauntlets.
Yes.
you can.
Actually, I'm sure doing it tonight though.
I want the
Yeah,
gauntlets.
do you want to do it for a year or?
Maybe.
As
Do
you...
I die immediately?
It's actually last night.
You're dead! No! No. As you start to slip on the gauntlets, the first gauntlet, you know, you slide it on and it fits,
How much?
you know, it fits rather loosely but comfortably enough that you can still use it within battle and whatnot. When you slide on the other gauntlet, you notice a slight glimmer of a kind of reddish glow kind of shine out from within the gauntlet, and you feel a light warmth fill your hands. While wearing the gauntlets, you can now hold items that are on fire without taking damage, and you are resistant to fire damage.
I don't trust that.
I really needed those.
Like just in general?
Yeah.
No.
That sounds awesome.
Joe.
I don't think I like that one.
Should have him carry mold.
And then-
Yeah.
I can
Hey,
juggle
Desmond,
hot coals.
I'm gonna
What
reach
was
into
that?
that volcano over there.
I mean, I can juggle hot coals.
Yeah. I think if you're good enough with your sleight of hand, you could probably just do that anyway. But now you definitely can. You can just sit there holding it like 1v1 and somebody like, come on, bitch, and fight me.
So,
I have added the gauntlets to the handouts page for your guys' folder. With regards to the sword, go ahead and roll perception, Desmond.
oh yeah, how much do the gauntlets weigh?
They don't. They're small enough that it doesn't count against
Yeah,
you.
yeah. You said perception, right?
Yes.
15?
15? 10?
Yes, sir.
As you kind of look closer at the blade, on the hilt you see the inscription, "Ye that wield this blade bring justice to those that wrought wrongness to others." And it seems to be fairly well balanced and well made. Like it's
Is it
very,
like just a long sword? Like as far as I can tell.
as far as you can tell, it seems to be a long sword. It, because of its good craftsmanship, it gives you +1 to hit, +1 damage.
Beautifully done.
Alright. Fuck you, God.
And then I've added the blade to the
Oh, wait
to
a
the
minute.
folder.
There's a dead frog on the floor.
Yep.
Holy man!
Death save. Alright, that's 1 failure.
I'm gonna yell for the holy man.
Holy man! The holy man is right next to you.
Oh, right here.
Holy man.
Hey, does
So
men,
why
what
did
is?
you go under the
I
table?
read what Men the Dying does. It just says it makes them stable. What does that do?
So-
Did you
So
break it, or
if they're
does it
bleeding
just
out,
fall
they
off?
no
There's
longer
draft
are.
or something.
That's how,
Does that mean I
Just
have to
on
roll?
this,
Still?
I think.
not if he succeeds.
So is it
Maybe you just
stable
don't have it put in properly.
currently?
No.
Oh, so I can
Screw
roll,
Is
and
it-
that would be like a
Is
save
it a
point.
cantrip?
No,
It is a
that's
cantrip.
probably true.
Then you can just-
the dying.
So what you
Maybe
do
it's
is you
time to
just
get a new one.
magical energy straight
It's just
into the creature and you get 1 health point.
Oh.
Understand.
Well, then I will do
Because
such a thing.
That is such a.
I was too busy like watching everyone take the loot and being like, piecing it
Yeah,
out.
basically you're watching all this play out and then the frog just like
Desmond goes, "There's a dead frog!" And
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh yeah."
They're like,
And then,
oh,
instead of like pulling out your incense and trying to use a medicine check,
using just
you just
more basic.
you just touch the creature, and holy energy just kind of flows through your fingertips straight into the shoulder of this large frog creature.
Ooh.
You're gonna be all right.
That is the third time you've saved my life.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
I am now indebted
Well, that's
for life.
I will never forget. Thank you.
That's awkward.
No one knows what to do.
Well,
The four of you outside the chamber. Full perception.
That was such a drastic zoom out.
I know, it's like,
It's always drastic on that.
It's like
Is
a.
there any way you can speed that up so it's like those memes where they go.
I can. Hold on.
Yes,
Where's
make
my
it happen.
transitions button? Autopilot.
Like in warp, like
Slide. There you
what's it
go.
called?
Now-
Warp.exe.
Now when it goes to change
What up?
camera positions, it'll
10.
basically just cut.
7.
it'll be like Jersey Shore, just like zooming really fast into
No, not even zooming. It's just like click.
You're there.
Oh, that's
Oh.
lame.
Yeah, I'll see how it goes.
No, that's just like
Well,
a
I can
cut.
slow it down so that it's
Somebody
not
be
cutting.
interesting.
Yeah, no, don't do a cut.
I see
Okay.
myself bringing
Just
up
like
the
a really
idea.
quick zoom
Yeah.
in and out.
Let's see how it plays out.
I think it's working.
It's like looking into the past.
This one says it's 10 years month. This one.
what are we watching?
Wow, we almost got.
That's pretty good, actually. I like the.
Just
And this
chop,
is
chop,
it.
chop, chop, chop.
88.
Well, the nice thing is that this will be on my
Yeah, it's
YouTube
by-
channel for you to review at your leisure.
I'm probably gonna go straight home and watch this whole thing.
Oh
That's
god.
just awkward.
That's probably what I'm gonna do, I'll be
Like
honest.
legit.
It's gonna just be like the back of my head and probably YouTube for most of the stream.
That's
legit.
It really does,
Three
like,
of us.
your faces and David's.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It was
I can
literally
also
just
turn
zoomed
off
on me.
the face.
Actually, it'd probably be
thing.
better if you do that. Like, it's funny, but at the
It
same
would be a
time, it's
wide shot. It still picks up as far as all of the
I mean, it's
audio
kinda cool,
of the
but-
room.
which is good.
There's gonna be
It
a.
is fun.
I think
I don't
it's
know.
I
annoying.
think it'd be better to just add it in afterwards.
Yeah, kind of like the whole like After Effects zooming, like everybody
Yeah.
does. That'd be funnier.
I
But
think it
it's-
records in
The live stream
full,
stuff.
but for streaming it just is whatever you're touching on it.
Huh.
It's one of those things where I don't really know. I played around with it for a long
Let's
time, and those videos
I like
are
when it zooms.
unlisted or private because
make
it's
them public.
like
Make them public.
no.
I like when it zooms in
The-
on the phone.
the one
and
that's
it, like,
unlisted,
realizes
I
that
was
that's
like-
itself, and it's like, oh.
The one that's unlisted, I sent the link to Monica. I was like, "Here's what I mean," and so it's just me sitting in the kitchen, like singing. Doe, deer, a female deer, change camera, ray, a drop of golden sun, zoom in, me, a name. That's it. And then at some point, Jedi walks in, and so I zoom in on him, and it's like, high five. Thanks, buddy. You're the cutest. That's literally like that video. It's 2
Wholesome
minutes of that.
content.
The rest of it, it's like 10 minutes of me sitting on a couch going, okay, so that's working. Can you pick up the audio?
You should just.
What's better, the phone audio or the camera audio? Is very boring content. I can't watch a minute of it.
I would love to watch it.
Maybe a year from now.
A year from now.
Maybe a year from now when I'm
We all
more
forget about
distanced
it.
from it.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Because it's
seem
still
as
on my
bad.
channel. Let's be honest, 2 weeks from now. Alright. So, the four of you.
Yes.
The four of you on the distant side of the
Well,
table.
that-
Perceptions.
I rolled a 7.
17.
I got a
Disadvantage.
19.
Disadvantage.
Ah, I always forget about that.
What'd you get?
7.
7, 8,
17.
I still
Nice.
got a 19.
19?
Yeah.
Alright. So, the two of you are kind of distracted by the kind of clamoring about and stuff that's happening down the corridor. The two of you turn behind and you hear a very soft voice kind of call out from the hallway like, "Is it safe? Are we going back now?"
Is it the girl? How?
Oh, yeah.
Like the one that we saved, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, because I'm thinking
No,
about the one
as
from the
soon-
Star Wars
as
campaign
soon
that
as
freaked me out.
As soon as skeletons and stuff happened, she was out.
I mean, understandable.
Why did she go back home?
Because she's miles away.
She needs us
So the
to show
other
where the
room,
fuck
they're
to
still
go. She got
fighting the
kidnapped.
weird mummy thing or no?
No. It's
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's safe. You good?
okay. Are we going back now?
Yes.
Sure.
Hey,
Indeed.
Come on in.
Yawn.
Jan,
What? Yes, Desmond.
I feel like you should have the gauntlets, at least. I think that's fair.
You wish for me to wield them.
Well, I wish for you to put them on. I'm wielding the no sword.
Ah.
That's mine.
Well, I will without protest.
Awesome.
Alright. If you want to pull up their stats, they are listed in the folder. Black Iron Gauntlets. Fuck yeah. They got some flames on the fucking mother hands, yeah.
I'm gonna go up to the human.
Invincible
Where am I?
to hot
You-
things.
Desmond?
Yeah.
Desmond. The frog person approaches.
Where am I?
I almost had guarantees instead of going.
Well, currently, you're in the tomb of the Trustilan order.
Yes, I know that, but
Stoked
where
up
am
his
I?
gauntlets.
In a place.
Was the name Feora, look, Jordan?
What?
I remember it as Feora, but I could be totally off on that.
The continent?
Yeah, thanks, we are. Wait.
Pretty sure it was Ashea.
If you're looking for the region is the northern, northern Ashea, and then the whole continent is
Basically.
Ashea.
Yeah, a share.
Would I recognize that?
At least the continent.
Roll knowledge.
Is that
Just roll knowledge.
Knowledge.
Leave me alone. We don't talk about this.
I almost said
Knowledge.
roll lore. I'm like, nope, that's different system.
Also, there's no knowledge skill for the record.
Yeah,
Is there not? History.
Or history.
History.
I'm not leaving yet.
Knowledge is in Star Wars and Pathfinder, I think.
12.
Oh my
Just do
god.
intelligence.
Okay.
12.
12?
Okay.
This is my spell.
Shea. It sounds relatively familiar. As you kind of like think and stew on that name for a minute,
No.
you
Oh, okay.
kind of like dig through your memory and
Oh.
are like, wait, like
Hey, hands up.
the
How do I know
like
you have a gun?
the material plane, or like is it like the Shadowfell? You're trying to figure out which plane it is, but you know it's a different plane.
Do I know he's a human?
Yeah.
Human!
Hmm.
Where is that? Where
Well,
is this?
it's here. And over there, and over there, and over there, and over there. And there.
Yes, but where is it?
Here. I know. There's nowhere else. It's a share. It's where we are. Also, my name is Desmond. Nice to meet you.
Okay,
What are you?
I'm Slaker.
Okay, Slaker, nice to meet you.
Same.
What are you, though? Like,
I'm from batch 4-7.
uh-huh. Batch course 7.
No. Batch 4-7.
Oh, batch 4-7.
No. Batch 4-7.
Okay.
I didn't hear you think the 982. Batch 4-7.
Isn't that too
918?
Yes.
You don't have telepathy. I'm just gonna make sure that's a thing.
I know.
Okay.
Because this is exposed.
Awesome. What are you?
Slaker.
Yeah, like, what? That's your name, but what are you?
Am I aware what I am?
Like, I'm a human.
Roll history.
Like, I'm a human. That's a half elf.
14.
I'm a human.
That's an
Well,
elf.
You're gray, which is clearly superior than blue, red, or green
Just looking.
What
for your
color?
kin.
What color are you?
Peach? I don't know.
Well, gray is clearly better than peach.
That's great, but what are you?
gray.
I know you're gray.
Well,
That's the
okay
color.
then. You're
Oh,
not getting
what-
anywhere
right.
there now, are
What's your
we?
species? Like, I'm a human. I'm a white human. That's a Arab thingy. That's a half elf.
It never ends.
That's
He's pointing on the camera just so you have the context of that. Because I'm watching him.
Definitely, that's what I'm doing.
I'm totally watching your face as this is all happening because it's really funny.
And my dad's a tiefling, the red thing, or whatever color it is.
Or
Yeah, he's
whatever.
He's red, okay, the red,
Wanna
that's
see
a
You're-
your
tiefling.
you're like dark red,
pictures
right?
of
Or
progress
you're bright red?
pictures for my tattoo.
The red horny guy is a tiefling,
That was the stencil.
and the clawed bird
And
thing
that
is
was
a
when I
king.
did the
What do you
Darth
outline.
Maul.
And that was when I was going in and thickening
It's just a
it.
red
Can
one.
you repeat that again? This is fascinating.
I'm a white human.
White.
That's an Aarakocra thingy. That's a half elf. I think that's another half elf. That's a gnome. That's a tiefling. A red tiefling.
Red.
Not a red. He's a red tiefling.
Red.
He's a red teeth.
See, when you say gray, that just describes.
But
So
gray
you're
is better than
gray
white.
What?
How do you know?
Red is better than white.
What is why
But
is
gray is
white
better
so
than
bad?
red.
Why is white so
All right.
why is white so bad?
Just
Like
don't open any more sarcophaguses. Okay?
All you know is that death is better than all colors.
Tell me what to do.
Thank you.
So what are they? Where is the
Right?
picture?
Where is death?
where you're about to be.
Oh my fucking god, you're a slag? That was
Yeah, she's a slag.
I never looked at the picture. Do I know?
Roll Arcana. Roll Arcana.
But where is death?
Not 20.
Oh, that's a fucking that's a frog species from the plane of Limbo. They're born out of a fucking stone.
Yeah.
If there aren't
Oh.
infecting people with eggs and hatching out of them, depending on the color,
Please stay away from
it's
me.
very weird. They kind of eat their own
You don't
on
know
a
this.
constant basis.
Stay away.
Like,
They're
your character
real
doesn't
weird.
know
I know, but
why.
I know this. Stay away from me.
Slaker, why are you here?
Exactly.
Where is here?
Well, you're from Limbo, if I'm correct.
So this is not.
No, this is the material plane.
I fall to my knees.
Does she still look like a
Nugget
frog?
goes to pat their head.
How did you,
The bird is patting your head. Like it's a
I don't know if you should touch it. No offense.
to communicate what's going on.
I don't, yeah.
Zoom
No
in.
offense. Maker. But if I recall correctly, you're, don't you, like, infect people with eggs or something?
Upon choice,
Oh,
Of which
well,
part?
that's good.
don't you choose?
Well, I don't have the egg pot. I just fertilize the egg.
Fertilize?
Oh god, please don't start
Yeah.
talking about the birds
So,
and the bees, guys.
a
Okay,
woman
we don't need this whole
has
talk.
eggs in her, and a man has a thing that can fertilize the egg.
I have.
And
The four that are outside, if you would like, you hear this long-winded conversation.
Yeah, see, I'm
happening.
gonna cover the little girl's
Can
ears.
I just walk in and cover his mouth?
Yeah, I'm just covering
You
it.
like start walking to cover the girl's ears, and she's like, "I'm 16. Like, I'm not."
You're a
offended."
child! You are 12 last time I checked.
Well, I'm a child to you because you're like part elf. Like elves live like forever.
But I'm only a half elf.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Forever.
I don't know.
Only half of them.
You have pointy ears. That's all I got.
I've only been alive
no
for
discrimination.
30 years. I'm technically like 21 in elf years. Leave me alone.
Okay.
I'm
Well, I'm
58.
16.
Yeah, well,
so
I'm still
I'm
covering your
pretty close
ears.
to your age.
Yeah, well, I'm
Even
still
though
covering
you're
your
mostly
ears.
elf.
God, I've still been on this earth longer.
Now I want to cover her mouth.
Okay, it's just slowly turning into hear no, speak no, see no.
I put my hands
Just
like
keep Kenku just covers her face.
Smash
his face.
Smash her.
What you doing there?
Yeah.
What are
no,
you
you
asking?
Right.
Are you coming with us?
Yes, you've saved my life 3 times. I must get stronger.
Okay, just don't infect anybody with eggs
Sorry.
unless you clear it by me.
You wanna go for it?
Any of these?
Just anybody.
And
I'll tell you.
what about things?
Just don't do it unless you ask me. How about that?
Not body, but other things that are.
Just in general, clear it with me first.
I cannot promise this.
Who's Civil War?
That's what I was
Did you
wondering.
do your best?
We have a viewer?
Oh my god, do we
so.
have a
Viewer?
viewer? Besides us?
I think
Don't
so.
make them feel
I wish I-
Hello.
I don't
The
like
chat
this.
says roll history. Oh my lord, it's a never-ending loop. Don't talk to this lad about reproducing. It's gonna kill you all.
Who is this?
Yeah, who
I
is
don't
this person?
know. I love it. Hi, Civil War. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know who you
Well,
are.
it should be someone who's literally here and they're just not speaking up.
Probably.
I just eye David in the corner.
Hey,
Hey.
so can we just go now? Can we just leave? I'm so done with this place.
As you turn around to like walk out, you just see, you see Faye covering the ears of the blacksmith's daughter with Ganlin covering Faye's mouth, and the Kenku in the corner covering its eyes.
I don't know. I don't want to know. I want to go back to town.
The girl goes, "What?
What?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to go back to town.
Are you going home now?"
You're going back to town.
She just like nods, like, and gives a thumbs up, like, "Yeah."
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
All right, she pushes the hands off of the off of her ears and just starts walking out. Like, okay, let's go. It's getting later.
Later.
Are you coming, holy man?
Yeah, I suppose so. Seeing how you invited large frog person who said, you guys, Slaker, excuse me, who said you saved 3 times. I just want to clarify.
I think that was a communal thing.
That was me. So I'm gonna be tagging along.
As you were part of the group,
You will be
which I was
tagging along
asking
and
if you wanted to
cleaning
join, they
food.
said we. That includes, that's obviously you, but you're just part of the greater group now.
I will
We
not
welcome
infect
you.
red.
Red man.
Poor red man.
Really?
Bread man.
that too.
For cleaning the bread. I was like, yeah.
Cuban, I will not infect red. Red saved my life thrice.
Good.
That's good.
Don't infect me either.
Fine.
Not me either, please.
I don't roll
Ganlin does
that
not
way.
wish to be infected.
Yeah, I don't roll that way. I'm sorry.
They don't have,
We're just
they don't have
over here.
genders. They're
All
just
right.
slabs.
But not that way.
And on that note, the lot
And
of
on
you,
that bombshell,
the lot of you venture out into the wilderness, beginning your slow trek home. When previously you were sprinting through the cold night
Yeah, this
air
time we're
to
just
try
gonna
to save.
casually meander back.
hey, can I put my armor on before we leave?
Yeah, you can pretty much like don it as you're going along
Okay, cool.
with relative ease. It takes a little bit longer, but yeah, you're able to catch enough of a break that it's not too much of a worry.
Guys, like that.
You think this is?
Yes.
Do you think I'm that hillbilly?
It's a picture.
See, that's more likely to be my
tractors
dad's house.
being a coat
All right,
That's more likely to be my
Cool.
dad's
Where's-
house.
that's the
It's a
session.
picture Grace
As far as XP goes, let me
We're done.
Oh,
Her
Is
house.
that a gray slab? What the fuck?
Fuck, you
we
made
end
my
around
house.
10.
You know what it looks like. Your house
What
is
is
way
it?
better than like most
What?
houses I've been.
You're a
in.
gray slab.
I am.
See, isn't it? It's a very nice.
It's a
house.
very nice
Join
house.
me homebrew.
Very festive.
Oh, you allowed homebrew for her, I see.
Well, yeah. y'all are noobs. She at
Okay.
least knows what's going on.
Have you
The only
seen
homebrew-
the title of
Connor
the live
even has a
stream?
little bit of
The only
homebrew for
homebrew
him.
I wanted was like a cool ass weapon.
Well, I have an
No.
exception.
You
Just-
find that. You
Oh.
don't start with that.
Okay.
Get
My
out of here.
exception is pretty fair though, because my exception really just doesn't do anything.
Well, Civil War, let me tell you, if you came too late, don't worry. You can view the rest of the stream. I'm viewing it, but it's zoomed in on camera. You can view the rest of the stream when it's all uploaded and it'll rewind for you. Yeah.
Why are you talking to viewers like they exist?
Because there's one.
There is one.
There's one guy who's just like too late.
Don't
Wow.
talk to the splat.
As a DM,
Jordan, your work as a
Talk to the
social
salad
media
about
promoter is really
reproducing.
paying off, clearly.
Don't talk to
Jordan,
the
if we
salad.
play,
oh yeah. So if you'd like to tune in, we try for every other Monday.
Other Monday.
Every
yeah,
other
we
Monday.
changed it.
It used to be every Monday, but people were getting bogged down. I'm not opposed to every Monday.
I want to do it.
I have
But-
I got
already
Mondays
scheduled
off.
this
I actually
semester.
ended up being able to get the Mondays off with the new job.
Yeah, it kind of depends on what people's schedules are.
Just zooms in on David's face.
You're maybe here next week. I know for 2 weeks from now you're out of town.
Yeah, I'll have to look. I'm like my availability is completely open, so I need to like cut a day off at my work and then
Oh.
set that aside,
Okay, cool.
which I will be doing.
Hell yeah.
And
You coming
then-
back?
Woo!
Yeah.
Got another
Whoa!
conversation.
Whoa!
I thought you just
He's
had
a
a day off.
Yeah,
Civil
yeah, and I
War
just
says
decided
he's
to like,
free.
Yeah.
Civil War.
So,
He
sweet.
it.
yeah, I'll be back.
Hey, you awesome.
how do we want
Wait,
to
wait,
do
wait.
it?
Hey,
Do
we-
it again. It's zoomed in.
We use Oi as well.
All right, cool. So, yeah.
Oi.
Um,
I'm gonna see.
if we want, we can switch to weekly. I'm not opposed. How do you guys feel?
I don't have a job yet, so I'll let you know after I get one.
Open till a job.
Next week I have to work, but after next
Okay.
week I can swing
I
it.
have one. Yeah.
If
I am open.
and
Oh, shit.
the other thing is, if we only have like 1 or 2 people, there are 8 of you now. If we have 1 or 2
Civil
people
War.
missing,
It's just
share your
weird.
character
I know,
sheet
but still,
with
I have
somebody
to know
else
who it is.
and tell them to just run your character.
Mhm.
And that's a
Hell
pretty
yeah.
pretty easy,
Seven
pretty
beer.
elegant solution. I like to
Okay,
think.
I take back what I said. I said I was gonna give my character sheet to
Evan
Cameron, but I
Buell.
changed my
Oh.
mind. I
They
feel like
just
my
leave
job
it
would
at the
die
Yeah.
if I put the
If you
character
gave
in
it to
Cameron's hands.
I'm not that bad.
Dude,
Well,
you like
Evan
almost
Buell.
dead
In terms
twice.
of role playing stuff,
Evan
you can
sucks,
send role playing
Evan.
stuff to
You
me
doing, Evan?
unless you trust it with another
Basketball,
player.
Evan.
Mhm.
As far as
Evan.
mechanically, like if you're in
Evan,
combat
you
and you're
wanna
trying to
do
shoot things, I would give
Don't
it
call me
to
Evan.
the other
Evan,
players
you
so
wanna
that
go
they're
fuzzies
running
to
your
fish
character.
Don't call me
But
Evan.
I don't have to worry about pulling up your stat.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah,
You
blah,
would handle like
Evan,
story.
you won't get
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
You're not real.
blah.
Don't
Other
worry about me,
things.
let's watch you.
Right?
That's really creepy.
Fuck
Well, they
is
have a
this?
point.
So words, yes, nailed it. So
I
next
love
week
it when that
maybe,
I should be good actually. I just looked.
next week, not next week, but the week after. Cameron, next week we should be fine. The 3 of you,
Bounce your ball, but I was
No,
Next-
expecting.
I
He
am
did not take
available
it, he
next
threw
week.
it.
I thought
okay?
it was one of those
Grayson,
cushiony balls.
What?
It is.
next
It's
week,
not.
Monday.
That should work, but I prefer every other week.
Okay.
That sucks.
Works for me.
Okay. As far as stuff goes, if you don't want to show up for a session, hand control of your character to another player because I'll be there's a of you that I'm going to be shuffling back and forth.
Good.
So yeah, let's plan on next week.
Guys, they're not gonna come back.
I would hope.
I hope you
I'm
come back.
hopeful. I'm hopeful. At the very least, we have whatever of you guys are fucking watching today. So,
then they know when to come back.
yeah, you gotta just like update anyone. So if they happen to cross it. Anyway, so next week we'll we'll hope for like 6:30. We'll hope. We'll find out. I'm gonna be watching. You said okay.
Guys, have a viewer. Wow.
He's gonna kill us all.
Oh my god, we're like so famous. Oh my
Open
god.
it up, honestly.
Yeah, we're enabling.
Casper wants
We're
it.
enabling people who are super sensitive.
It's Casper. Alright,
Wait, did it open?
No.
Yeah.
yeah,
It
so,
did earlier.
next week, 6 o'clock, we'll meet up, and
He
then,
said
like, hopefully
Really?
6:30
Not
to 7,
recently.
we'll,
Oh,
Okay.
Like
Somewhere
when I
there.
first got here.
oh yeah.
that's the goal. Next week will basically be travel back to town,
Just a
and
guy at the window.
hopefully,
Hopefully.
hopefully you guys are turning in some goblin ears for some dink money.
Hella.
But,
Fake money.
but yeah,
Goblins.
do we want to, like, wave and say goodbye?
No.
No.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, it's weird.
Bye. The strange, weird end of the stream, which is just Jordan trying to figure out how to
He's
end
never
the
said my
stream
name
because he's
properly.
not.